Games, Paris 2024.
With Tony Livesey.
On BBC Radio 5 Live.
Hello and welcome. It's day 2 of the Olympic Games out here in Paris. We have some gems for you today. This morning, gymnastic legend Simone Biles makes her Olympic return.
Simone Biles for the USA. They know they've done it. There was never any doubt.
It's a busy day for Great Britain in the rowing, Chris Jones.
Yeah, 5 GB boats in the water this morning. The women's pair, though, finishing 4th in their heats. They go into the repechage. But coming up, some of the big gold medal hopes in action, including the men's pair, the women's lightweight double sculls, the men's 4, and Helen Glover's women's 4. They're off in their heat at 11:30.
And GB's riders hope to continue yesterday's success. Sonia McLaughlin.
The first horses are on the course, the test of bravery, skill and endurance. Britain sitting in gold medal position, the pressure is on.
In the pool, Adam Peaty looks to achieve his 3rd successive Olympic gold.
You know, this sport is so testing. Can't beat that, really. What else can you add except from a chocolate cake?
And Andy Murray begins his farewell to tennis.
It's an ace! It's gold! Gold! You better believe it! Gold for Andy Murray!
So our promise still holds. We're going to bring you every Team GB medal live here on 5 Live. You can also follow events on the BBC Sport website and app, or watch on BBC One and the iPlayer.
The Olympic Games, Paris 2024.
With Tony Livesey.
On BBC Radio 5 Live.
So, welcome. Well, our base, my base for the day, certainly for the next 3 hours, is La Défense Arena here, the swimming pool, and the atmosphere here is bedlam. The local French hero, Léon Marchand, about 10:20 actually, he's going to be in the pool. I won't be able to hear myself think by that point. We've already had the disco show. There's somebody conducting the crowd. There've been Icelandic hand clapping. Spare a thought actually for the Brit swimmers who are in the pool before Marchand even puts his trunks on. They've got to perform in front of this crowd. There are 13 gold medals to be won here today. Adam Peaty's going for his 3-peaty later this evening. He's trying to defend a 100 metres breaststroke title that he won in Tokyo and Rio. Alongside me here, I hope they can hear me, Olympic bronze medalist Steve Parry. Good morning to you, Steve. And also world and Commonwealth champion Karen Pickering's here as well. Hello, Karen.
Good morning.
And let's just check he's here as well. Our swimming commentator, Alistair Bruce Ball.
Bonjour, Tony, ça va?
Bonjour, ça va? I shall let bonjour. No wonder he's bilingual. We had the big discussion yesterday. He used to work at Disneyland, but maybe we'll get into that a little bit later, Alistair. Right, where do we start? Karen, let's start with Léon Marchand. I know we should start with the Brits, but just give us an idea about how big this man is here in France, hence all the noise in the background.
Yeah, I think most of the crowd here are waiting for a first glimpse of Léon Marchand. I guess the best way to describe him for swimming fans and sports fans who will know Michael Phelps, he is Michael Phelps 2.0. It's like somebody looked at Michael, said what are his weaknesses, and then found a swimmer who eliminated those. He is just another level.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him in action. Steve, in a moment, the first heats of the day are going to get underway in the men's 200 free. And Team GB have two, I'm going to say decent, but that's underplaying it. You tell me how good our guys are.
Well, they're the best in the world. You know, if you look at the men's 200 metres freestyle, Tom Dean won the Olympic gold medal out last time, narrowly beating Duncan Scott. And we really do have the best 200 metre freestylers in the world, and just looking forward to later in the week as they go in the men's 4x200, the relay in that event. They are the favourites. They should get the world record. But it's not just the Brits in here. Outside of Léon Marchand, one of the biggest stories that we've got in international swimming is David Popovic, the Romanian. He's the fastest in this event by a second. But he goes up against Lewis Martins in this, the German that won the 400 freestyle yesterday. And I think we're going to see a right old ding-dong in this event. The 200 free, a lot of people say the 100 free is the blue ribbon event. I'm not sure. I think the 200 free is right up there.
Well, we've got Matt Richards going shortly and Duncan Scott as well. Let's hear from Matt Richards. He's looking to add to his relay gold from Tokyo, but he says he's taking it one race at a time.
It's theoretically possible that I could go and win 6 medals or even 6 golds, but to me I'm not really looking at it like that. I'm looking at it as one race at a time. You know, it's a 9-day competition. I should be racing pretty much every single day, so I will literally just take it one race at a time and just get in enjoy the race, because that's what I love. I love racing, I love swimming, I love what I do. And so I'm just going to get in there and enjoy every part of that process. And when I go in and enjoy the racing like I'm planning to do, is usually when I've had some pretty spectacular, results. So that's the plan for the summer, is go and do that. And like you say, if all of that goes well, hopefully we could come away with, a nice little collection of some kind to add to the one from Tokyo. But who knows what that'll look like? And in sport, you never know, do you? So time will tell.
Well, we'll find out very shortly what kind of form he's in. That's Matt Richards. He goes in Heat 2. Heat 1 is underway in front of us now. We'll bring you commentary of Heat 2 in just a second. Actually, Heat 1's just come to an end. Steve, introduce us then to Matt Richards. Just give us a bit of an insight.
Matt has kind of burst onto the scene in the last few years. For those people that watch swimming, they'll be very well aware of Matt Richards, but I feel like this is his big opportunity. He won the World Championships last year, but if you really want household recognition, you have to do it on this stage, on the Olympic stage. And Matt's got all the attributes, whether it be over the 100 or the 200. The question is, can he put it together on the biggest stage? Because this is where the athletes are really tested, at the Olympic Games, in front of these 17,000 people, when you've got a favourite like Popovic going in the same event. So his work really is going to be cut out, but he has a heck of an opportunity. And I like what he's saying. He's saying in the sentence in that interview, 6 golds up for grabs. That's what he's thinking about, the gold.
Karen, he's only 21, a rising star. Is that a rising star in swimming, 21, or is that a veteran these days?
No, actually, I mean, if you look at the entries now, the swimmers are going on longer and longer, in sort of late 20s and on the shorter distances into their 30s as well. This is a kid who was only 18 when he helped Britain to that gold medal in Tokyo, and he's just got better and better. He had to win the British trials to make it here, and that was tough enough with Duncan Scott and Tom Dean fighting for the 2 places as well.
Just about to get underway. We'll have commentary with Ali in a second. Let's have a very quick check-in with Sonia McGoughan, who's at the equestrian, and Tom McEwen in action there. Sonia, hello to you this morning.
Good morning. We have bright sunshine at Versailles. What a change from the rain we had for the dressage. Tom McEwen of Britain riding JL Dublin, who is sitting 11th overall as the individual, is out on the course, and he's going well. He is clear and through the first 9 fences. There are 28 obstacles overall, 41 jumping efforts. Remember that Britain lie in gold medal position overall, so the pressure is on.
Cheers, Sonia, thank you. Right, straight to the pool. Matt Richards in action, Ali.
Second heat of 4 is underway. This is the men's 200 metres freestyle, as Steve was explaining. Great Britain winning gold and silver. Tom Dean and Duncan Scott in Tokyo back in 2021. Today, Matt Richards, the 21-year-old, is in lane 4. They've completed the first length of 4, Karen, and actually the field is pretty bunched.
Yeah, it is. You could pretty much throw a net over 7. We've got an empty lane in lane 7, so just 7 swimmers going in this heat. Matt Richards looking very, very comfortable. Slow, straight rate on this first 100. Looks more comfortable in the early stages and staying underwater a long time as well on the turns.
5th fastest at the halfway stage, Matt Richards, who swam that first leg for Great Britain in the men's 4x100 metre freestyle relay last night and put them in a decent position at that stage. He's just building the pace steadily here on the 3rd length, but all the swimmers very close, all on each other's shoulders, Karen, as we head into the final length.
Yeah, I want to see him just up the tempo a little bit as we come into the final 50, and you can see the splash from the legs has gone to another level as these swimmers are really sprinting down this final 50.
So we are looking at Max Giuliani, the 21-year-old Australian, who is right on the shoulder of Matt Richards. Katsuhiro Matsumoto, the Japanese, close as well. But I tell you, 6-7 swimmers here, all heading for the wall at exactly the same time. This one is going to be tight. Who is going to get the touch? Matt Richards is 2nd fastest in that heat. It is Max Giuliani, the young Australian, who wins that heat. Got the touch just ahead of Matt Richards. Karen, what did you make of the swim?
Well, I thought he swam that really nicely. The first 100, he just looked like he was going through the motions with it. Very smooth, very long. He stayed underwater, like I said, a long time on his turns, the longest out of all the swimmers. And then you could see the 3rd 50 just started to ramp up and then really put on the burners down the last length.
Yeah, workmanlike job there from Matt Richards. He was very composed in that and just did exactly what he needed to do. That should give him more than enough chance to get through top 16.
Good stuff. We've got Duncan Scott up next in the next heat, actually, so a quick turnaround. In the meantime, let's head out back to the equestrian with Sonia.
Yes, where Tom McEwen for Britain, the first rider on the course, is going well. He is through the first 16 of 28 fences, and JL Dublin looks to be giving him a fantastic ride. The clubhouse leader is the Olympic champion, Julia Krajewski, who is sitting on 31.7 penalties. If Tom was to go clear here and sit on his dressage score, he would go into the lead on 25.8. Huge crowds here at Versailles enjoying this cross country.
Cheers, Sonia. Thank you. Right, back in the pool. Heat number 3, Britt Duncan Scott in action. 6 Olympic medals, Ali, this fella.
Absolutely right, yes. So, as Steve quite rightly said, 16 fastest times we're looking for. Duncan Scott of Great Britain, 27 years old. This is 3rd Olympics. 6 medals, 2 in Rio, 4 in Tokyo. One of those gold, part of the team that won the 4x200 metre relay in Tokyo. They are just about ready to go in Heat 3. And into the water they go. Duncan Scott up against Lucas Martins, the German who won the men's 400 metres freestyle yesterday. Chris Giuliano, the American, on his right-hand side in lane 6. And once again, in this heat, all the swimmers first length, shoulder to shoulder, gliding through the glistening waters here in the pool in Paris. They reach the turn. Duncan Scott makes that turn. Martin's the quickest, Karen, over the first 50 metres.
Yeah, interesting to see. He's gone out quite quickly, and I wondered how much that 400 victory would have taken out of him, and everything that goes along with being an Olympic champion and all the press, etc. after. But he's gone out pretty well. Chris Giuliani started well, the 100 freestyle specialist, but Duncan Scott, expect to see him in the closing stages. That's where notoriously he is so strong.
Silver medalist in Tokyo, Duncan Scott. They're at the halfway stage of this heat for the men's 200 metres freestyle. Semi-finals still to come tonight. Still pretty close, nip and tuck in this one. Duncan Scott just looks like he's making a little bit of ground on Lucas Martins, the German, in lane 3 on his left, who still just about has the lead in this race. Karen, they're approaching the final turn.
Yeah, it's very similar tactics as we saw from Matt Richards the heat before from Duncan Scott, really working the underwater, steady for the first 100. Now he's building up for a great last 50.
So at the turn there, Lucas Martins, the German, in front. Danas Rapsis of Lithuania was in second place. Duncan Scott in third. Let's see what Duncan Scott has got in the last 20 metres here. Kicking hard, arms slicing through the water. Duncan Scott cruising towards the finish here. Rapsis looks like he is going to touch first in lane 3. He does. Duncan Scott third fastest in the heat, and the German Lucas Martins takes second. So we'll have a look at those times. 16 fastest through to the semi-finals tonight, and Duncan Scott there, Steve, 1:46.34.
I'm loving what I'm seeing from the lads this morning. They're just getting out there, they're getting the job done. The hard thing here, gang, is they competed last night in the 4x1, at least Duncan did, Matt as well, and they've got to get up this morning. They've just got to get through the rounds. You've got to balance conserving energy whilst at the same time making sure you get the job done. Looks like we're in 3rd and 6th place at the moment. Duncan Scott in 6th. It's going to be more than enough to get him through to the main action tonight, Tony.
Cheers, Steve. Thank you. Loads more to come in the pool. Plenty of Brits in action over the next hour or two. And we've got that quite a big magic moment when the French hero Leon Marchand takes to the pool. They'll ramp it up here. Let's take a pause. And Sonia McLaughlin's at Versailles for us today. Sonia, it feels like we've been speed dating this morning. I've said a sentence. You've said a sentence. We can have a moment's thought now.
Good morning, Tony.
Hello.
How are you?
Well, how are you? Because you were sat in a puddle yesterday. Today, it's beautiful. We should say that.
Oh, look, you know what? 3-day eventing is often held in some of the most spectacular locations, often stately homes as backdrop. Today, I think we've probably got one of the most elegant backdrops this sport has ever seen, with the Palace of Versailles away to my right. The glorious woods here, the green grass, lots of crowds, and to top it all, immaculate sunshine. And from a British perspective, Tony, they have started really strongly. Tom McEwen is home on JL Dublin. He has gone clear cross country, and to the cherry on the top, no time penalties, because that's one of the crucial factors as well, which means he sits on his dressage score and has gone into the lead. Nicola Wilson is back with us here today on 5 Live, Olympic silver medalist in London 2012. Used to ride Dublin. Nicola, you must be so pleased.
Oh, so pleased, so proud, a little emotional, but let's move on from that. Absolutely beautiful ride, a beautiful round. I just loved the harmony, throughout the whole course. They were just on their galloping so easily, covering the ground, and then just towards the end of the course, Thomas said, come on, I want more, come on, quicker, and Dublin just responded, and what an amazing job they both did. A fantastic round, starting Team GB as they mean to carry on.
And it's not a big course, which when people say, well, hang on a minute, this is the Olympics, it's what's called a 4-star. 5 stars are the top level, and we may explain at another time why it's not a 5-star. But how do you feel it is riding at the moment? Because it's quite technical, isn't it?
I think it's riding really, really well. We're seeing a lot of clears. The fences are coming up thick and fast. There's been quite a few horses slipping in the woods, which we sort of anticipated may well happen. But at fence 21, between elements there, it looks quite soily. And Dublin actually did slip after completing that. And whilst there's no problem there, it's just something to bear in mind for the riders. But yes, it is an interesting track to be riding. Very twisty and a lot to be done.
There are a lot of trees to navigate through because they've been very determined. They weren't cutting any trees down. I did see Tom McEwen slip, and I've put little slip. The horses, if we relate this to perhaps football players who, when they go out on a muddy pitch, might put studs in their boots.
Yes.
You do the same with horses, don't you, on a cross-country course if the ground is soft?
Yeah, absolutely. And depending on the ground and the course and the terrain and the camber to the ground, also would sort of stipulate what size studs you would put in. With the horses, you would have a flat one in the inside because you wouldn't want them to catch themselves. And then you would have more of a pointy one on the outside, so that really gives them that extra stability so that they can make these tight turns as quickly as possible but as safely as possible.
Excellent. Tony, it just looks incredible. These horses are now being shown in the absolute best light in this glorious sunshine, and there is something about cross-country day that just gets the old ticker racing because these athletes are honestly some of the bravest you will ever see in any sport.
Horse and rider being so brave, and a lovely partnership, and it's so lovely to see all the horses finishing so well, testament to their homework, the fitness program that's gone into these horse and riders, that they are finishing so fantastically well, and what brilliant pictures we are seeing here from the cross-country phase of the 3-day eventing.
Yeah, well, what brilliant pictures you guys are painting as well. We're there with you. Fantastic. Thanks to Sonia there, and to Nicola. We'll be back to Versailles as the morning goes along. Here in the pool, we've just had the final heat for the men's 200 free. We're moving into men's 400 individual medley territory. Heat number 2 is Max Litchfield from Pontefract, and he's up against the local hero Leon Marchand. We're looking forward to that because this will be nuts in here when that takes place. In between times, let's head off to the Bercy Arena. Team GB's women have been in gymnastic qualification this morning. 2-time Olympic silver medalist Lewis Smith is watching alongside him. Hello for the first time this morning to Eleanor Oldroyd.
Yes,
How's
good
the voice?
morning. Yeah, it's iffy really. Dr. Lewis has given me lots of instructions about what I should be doing yesterday afternoon.
Stop with the pipe.
Be at home, get in bed.
Yeah, lots of drinking of fluids and gargling with things and honey and lemon and stuff. Anyway, we've had an interesting morning, haven't we? We kind of mentioned your silver medals yesterday, Lewis. Got to not forget the bronze medals as well. So 4-time medalist Lewis Smith. But it's all about medals for this generation of GB gymnasts. And I think you would probably say that the women's team this morning have probably done enough to get through as a team to the final. But we're going to have some nervous waits on the apparatus finals.
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of those long days where you're going to have to wait and see how it all unfolds, because I mean, it was looking like Romania were going to beat us, and then they also had a shaky bars. So it's going to be a difficult one.
Asymmetric bars was everyone's nemesis today.
Yeah, I think early morning, Olympic jitters, bars didn't go quite so well for quite a few people out there. So, yeah, a nervous wait, I think. Hopefully we can scrape into the team final and then, a few apparatus finals.
Yeah, so Becky Downey, the best performer of the day from a GB point of view with her score of 14.66 on bars. And for her story, I mean, you competed with her, didn't you, in Beijing? She was in London as well. She didn't get to Tokyo for a variety of reasons. She had family tragedy with the loss of her brother. There was also a certain amount of discussion about the fact that she spoke out against the culture in British gymnastics, which was part of the White Review as well, which has meant that changes have been made. But she's here now, and you could see that it meant so much to her as soon as she arrived in the hall today. And she was so relieved to actually nail her routine.
Yeah, I think as an elite athlete, you have to kind of compartmentalize all the stresses and all the kind of distractions you have in lead up to the competition. And you could see she was so focused before that asymmetric bars routine. She knew, this is it for her, and she made that moment count. And as soon as she landed, you saw that kind of emotion release out of her, and she had a moment to kind of go, okay, I've just done that. And I'm so happy for Becky, everything that she's been through, to come here and do that routine. She deserves a big pat on the back.
Well, GB was 6th in the last World Championships, Tony, and there are teams like USA who are up next, including Simone Biles to come later in the day, also Brazil, France in the early evening session, China, Italy. So a lot of teams still to perform in this qualifying session today, or this day of qualifying for the women's team event and individual events. Keeping our fingers crossed for Becky Downey to get to the asymmetric bars final, and also for the team final. We will know more much later on this evening, by which stage I'll hopefully be tucked up in bed with a warm drink.
Yes, I hope so. Cheers, Ellie. Save the voice. Simone Biles in action again, as Ellie was saying shortly, so we're looking forward to that. Here in the pool then, we've got the men's 400 individual medley, heat number 1 underway, but it's fair to say I don't think there aren't many in the crowd, unless they're relatives of the swimmers, who are that interested, because it's the next one that really matters. The local boy, the local hero, favourite for gold, world record holder in this event, son of 2 famous French swimmers. Léon Marchand is going to be in action. Make the most of this relative silence now, because we won't be able to hear ourselves think. But before he gets in the pool, let's hear from the French favourite himself.
I am Léon Marchand, and according to my teammates, I'm La Baguette.
Léon Marchand of France wins the gold. What a swim that was.
So I'm from France, southwest. It's called Toulouse. It's a real nice city. My parents were swimmers. My dad went to 2 different Olympics and my mom went to 1. So I was doing pretty well in France, right? I started getting pretty good at swimming, and some coaches from the US would send me DMs, be like, maybe you could swim in the US one day, get a scholarship or something like that. And then I saw that Bob was coaching this program at ASU, and I was like, why not just sending an email saying we'll see. On Thursday, May 28, 2020 at 12:30 p.m. to Bob Bowman. Dear sir, I'm a French swimmer. My name is Léon Marchand. I'm 18 years old. I would like to join the University of Arizona State in summer 2021 for swim and compete in NCAA with your amazing team. Do you think I could benefit from a scholarship? What level of education is required? Thanks for the time granted to my request. Sportingly, Leon.
Don't let small things derail you from the big picture. Justin Sua.
How'd you find that?
Twitter.
I think he's a funny guy because he's odd. He's a genius in what he's doing.
Hey, you start getting like this. You gotta stay up and move forward, right? You don't wanna get too hunched like me.
Bob doesn't really tell me all the times from Michael. I don't think he really likes to compare. So he was the best swimmer ever. I broke his record. That was so cool. I just feel very lucky to have Paris in 2024. The last time in France was 100 years ago, which is crazy. I'm almost on my peak in swimming, I think, and it's coming it's the perfect timing for me. So I want to say relâche-toi, which means relax. You got it. I know I'm relaxed. It's all good.
There we are, Leon Marchand, the French poster boy, face of the pool, face of the games. He's up next. Just listen in a moment. The first heat's finished. The swimmers will emerge in just a second for the second heat, and you can judge for yourself the reaction he's going to get. Karen Pickering, I do feel a little bit sorry for Max Litchfield from Pontefract. We've not really mentioned him, and he's swimming against Leon. Tell us a little bit about it. Here we go, look.
Well, you can guess that Leon Marchand's walking out. So Max has been a consistent member of the British team, but he was just missed a podium in Rio, and it was the first time in maybe 5 or 6 years he set a personal best to qualify for these Olympic Games. So he's really found something special this year. So it'd be interesting to see if he can repeat that. So the second fastest time in the world this year. So he's had a great season so far.
Yeah. Ali, you're about to commentate. Steve, just before that, what are we about? Tell me, as an amateur swimmer, what am I about to see? Am I about to see one of the greatest of all time, someone who could be the greatest of all time?
Well, the 400 medley is the hardest event on the programme, in my opinion, Tony. You've got to do 100 metres of each stroke. And what you're about to see is the people that perfect the art of swimming, all going up against each other in order to do it. It's hard. It's hard to put into words how good Leon Marchand is. The greatest of all time, Michael Phelps, 23 gold medals at the Olympics. I thought his 400 metres individual medley would never be broken. This guy that you're about to see broke it by a second. He's 4 seconds better than anybody else in the field. Yeah,
Alain Bleu was just ringing round the auditorium. 17,000 people in here. Half of them at least have got a tricolour wobbling in front of them. And Phelps himself said, didn't he, that he wasn't surprised his record had gone, he was just waiting.
I think Phelps was being nice there. I think him and his coach, Bob Bowman, who now coaches Marchand, I think they were both surprised.
Right, we're whispering now. It's weird, isn't it, the atmosphere, Ali?
They are ready to go. So this is the second heat of the men's 400 metre individual medley. The main man is in the house. We're going to be hearing a lot of this name during this Games. And that name is Leon Marchand. Listen to the roar from the French fans as he launches himself into the water, throws himself into the first stroke, which is the butterfly, and unsurprisingly out in front. On his left shoulder in lane 3, we will keep an eye on Max Litchfield as well, but he is swimming against one of the true greats, Karen, here in Marchand.
Yeah, he really is. And often when on the medleys we talk about how the lead changes as the different swimmers have their strengths and weaknesses on different strokes. Marchand doesn't have a weakness, which makes him so special. Deo Saito of Japan, the 30-year-old Japanese swimmer, he is a very, very strong butterfly swimmer. He's taken this race out very hard, making the most of where his strengths lie.
Deo Saito, the Japanese, in lane 5. Black swimming cap with the Japanese flag emblazoned on the left, and we can see that now as the two swimmers, Marchand and Saito, touch the wall pretty much at the same time. They turn, and now it's backstroke.
Yeah, onto the backstroke, and you can see Marchand there. He was making the most of the underwater work. His skills off the wall are exceptional, much like most of the American swimmers who perfect this time and time again during their competitions at college. Max Litchfield going well. He's comfortably in third place as turns onto the backstroke leg. This is solid swim from him.
8 fastest times will make it through to the final. Quickest in the first heat was the American Carson Foster, silver medalist in the World Championships last year. Again, at the turns, the French fans get excited. Marchand emerges from underneath the water, smooth backstroke, taking him down the pool here, right in front of our eyes. It is absolute poetry in motion. Max Litchfield, though, Karen, as you say, going well, comfortably in third in this heat at the moment.
Yeah, this is a really good swim from Max. He's a strong freestyler, so we know he's got a good finish. And Leon Marchand, as he's just about to turn onto the breaststroke leg. This was where Michael Phelps had his weakness, on the breaststroke leg, but this is where Leon Marchand is very strong.
Pool is looking incredibly patriotic today. The ropes of the lanes decked out in the red, white and blue, matched by hundreds of tricolour flags all around the stadium. Every stroke, listen to this. That is every stroke that Marchand is making in the breaststroke here as he heads down towards the turn again. So one more length of breaststroke after this, then it's into the freestyle. I'll tell you what, when it comes to the final tonight, the atmosphere in here is going to be bonkers. Comfortably in front now, Marchand, Karen.
Yeah, that was, as expected, a real solid first 50 of breaststroke from Marchand. He is exceptional. It's so unusual to be able to be so strong at breaststroke as well as strokes like butterfly, with breaststroke such a technical stroke. But Max Litchfield really going well, still in third place. He's desperately trying to get right on the shoulder of Deo Sato, who's hanging in there one lane closer than Marchand to us in the pool.
Home hero Léon Marchand reaches the turn for the final discipline in this medley, into the freestyle. Big roar, clear water between him and his rivals, and that is what the home fans are expecting tonight as well. Great swim so far by Great Britain's Max Litchfield, competing in his third Olympics, fourth in Rio, tied fourth in Tokyo as well, and competing well in this heat. Marchand still out in front. He's got about 10 metres to the turn and then 50 metres to go.
Yeah, Max Litchfield breathing to his right, can see Léon Marchand, and that's really given him a boost as in this final leg. He's turning in second place. He's gone just ahead of Deo Sato as they come down this final 50, but Marchand's so in control.
All about these qualifying times for these swimmers. 8 fastest through to the final tonight. Look at this from Max Litchfield, making up the ground on Léon Marchand. Stroke by stroke, he is closing in. Marchand still in front, about half a body length in front. He is going to get there first. Max Litchfield, I'm sure, will be delighted with this swim. Marchand touches, enormous roar from the French fans all around us, and Max Litchfield immediately gasping for breath, leans on the ropes and wants to come over and have a word with Léon Marchand. We tip our caps to Léon Marchand. We are going to see a lot of him during this Games. What about the swim though, Steve, from Max Litchfield?
Well, that's incredible from Litchfield there. He's putting Léon Marchand aside for 1 second to see Max go 4:09 in this race. He's the second fastest qualifier there by over a second, which is really great to see. And you know, not to be put off by Léon Marchand and the circus that's going around him here. I mean, Marchand was playing games. It was like a cat with a number of mice there at the end. He wanted to see what he could do to the 250, and then he just turned the afterburners off.
Could it have helped him that he was next to Marchand? I mean, that might have drawn him along in a sense.
He absolutely used Marchand in that race, and particularly on that final 100, he was chasing him down. So it was a great opportunity being in the lane next to him when he could see him to use him. He was only just a few tenths out of his British record there, Max.
Steve, I'm taking a wild assumption now that you were at one point cheered during your swimming career, but have you ever heard anything like that?
Cheered or cheered?
Cheered.
But there was lots of cheering going on.
That gave me goosebumps on the breaststroke. Every time his head emerged from the water, they were synchronising their cheers.
It's absolutely incredible, isn't it? And, you know, the atmosphere was like finals in here this morning. I'm just looking at a cardboard cutout that must be 2 metres long of Léon Marchand's face there, by the way. But tonight will be incredible. And Tony, what's amazing about this is there are people that want to go to an Olympic Games, there's people that want to win medals, then there's people that want to win gold. But imagine carrying a nation for 8 games. Jess Ennis did it in London 2012. Léon Marchand has to do it here. It doesn't matter how big a lead he has, that he's the world record holder. The nerves and the anxiety that guy's got to face to carry this country and deliver tonight, it's so tough.
Yeah, brilliant from Max Litchfield, great from Marchand, just to witness greatness actually. Cara, just a final, this is a very prosaic question about swimming, but when you're competing, can you hear the crowd?
Yes, you could hear that. I mean, they're not in all my races, and obviously with freestyle it's more difficult to hear the crowd, but there were certainly some where I knew I could hear. But on that breaststroke leg, I'm certain every time he would have come out, that noise would have hit him like a wall.
Tony, you must get cheered every time you go and do your 120 laps.
Yeah,
every session you do in Burnley, right?
Yeah, when I go under the water in breaststroke to avoid missiles, bread rolls. Right, well, the next action here in the pool, actually, Anne Garrett Evans is going in the women's 100 metres breaststroke, the third heat for that. We'll bring you that as and when it happens, but there's so much going on. I actually, such was the excitement around Marchand, I think we're going to judo, and nobody's going to shout, no, we're not going to the judo. So let's say hello for the first time this morning to Maz Faruqi. Hello, Maz.
Hello, Tony. Yeah, at the Champs de Mars, arguably GB's best chance for a judo medal is in action shortly in the women's 52 kilogram kilogram class. That's 27-year-old Chelsea Giles, a bronze medalist from Tokyo 3 years ago. Since then, she's added a world silver, a European gold as well in 2022. But this, it's fair to say, is such a difficult weight class. There are a number of other big names who will almost certainly be in the medal mix, but not the Tokyo gold medalist and the four-time world champion, Japan's Abe Uta. A huge shock in the last couple of minutes. You remember perhaps the celebrations for her and her brother for the host nation 3 years ago when they both won judo gold within an hour of each other and are able to celebrate together. But she is out in the round of 16 this morning, highly emotional, having to be comforted by her coach as well. So one of the big medal contenders out. Chelsea Giles, though, hoping she'll be able to safely navigate her way through to the last 16 and then into the quarterfinals safely. She's facing Larissa Pimenta of Brazil in this fight coming up in the next couple of minutes, Tony.
Cheers, Maz. Thank you. Back with you shortly. Let's head to the rowing. I was listening in to breakfast while we were building up to taking over our coverage here at the Olympics, and Chris Jones and Jess Eddy had a lot of business to sort out in the rowing. It got underway early today. Chris, what have we seen already?
Hi there, Tony. Yeah, loads to talk about. We've had the women's and men's pair heats. In the women's pair, Chloe Brew and Rebecca Edwards finished fourth. They missed out on the semi-final. They'll go into the repechage. But, Jess Eddy, before we talk about the race we're watching now, which is the women's lightweight double sculls, so sculls with two oars, and this brilliant British pair that are looking to recover from that heartbreak of Tokyo. They've been unbelievable all-Olympiad. Imogen Grant and Emily Craig. We'll touch on them in a moment, but this men's pair, this event is going to be one of the stories of the Olympics. It is completely stacked, and GB, Ollie Wynne-Griffith and Tom George have won their heat to go into the Wednesday semi-final.
Yeah, we've seen a cracking couple of races in the men's pair so far today. There was a photo finish in one of the heats, and that's good news for the British pair because they won their heat easily. So you want to see these other races being tight. You want to see your competitors getting tired and using all their energy so you can sit back and get ready for the big races that'll happen next week.
Yeah, so Wynne-Griffith and George are big medal contenders, gold medal contenders. They've navigated their heat comfortably. They go to Wednesday's semi-final. And the race we're watching now, Tony, Craig and Grant, the heartbreak of Tokyo. They missed out on the podium by 0.01 seconds. But since Tokyo three years ago, they've been quite literally unbeatable. Multiple gold medals across World Cups, multiple World Championship, European Championship victories, and they are crushing their heat at the moment. So they'll be going into the semi-final. Look out for these two over the next few days, Grant and Craig in the women's lightweight double sculls. And we've still got the men's four and the women's four with Helen Glover to come later this morning.
Great stuff. Cheers, Chris. Cheers, Jess. Thank you. Let's go back to Maz at the judo. Chelsea Giles is on the mat, Maz.
She is. She's just got underway. A big puff of the cheeks from the bronze medalist from Tokyo 3 years ago. Remember that big shock for the gold medalist 3 years ago, Abe Uta, in the last couple of minutes. If you lose in the round of 16, there is no chance of a medal. You get through to the quarterfinals, you get through to the semi-finals, you have a chance to go through the route to the repechage for potentially a bronze medal. But given what's happened to one of her huge medal rivals, Chelsea Giles, I'm sure, will be conscious that she's going to really try this time round to upgrade this medal. It's a cautious start from her and her opponent in this fight, Larissa Pimenta of Brazil. Good bit of groundwork, though, on the mat, on the tatami from the GB 27-year-old athlete, and they've just got through a minute of this fight already. No scores on the board yet. Remember, the two ways that you can get points in judo, half a point for Wazari, but an ippon really is what you are aiming for, to throw your opponent, get both their shoulder blades flat on the mat. The referee raises his arm and you've got an ippon, then you have won the fight. It's like the golden snitch, if you like, of judo, and she's trying to unbalance her opponent at the moment, Chelsea Giles. 2.5 minutes to go in this fight. Still no points on the board, and she's now tried to get her opponent down, grappling now on the ground. I think the referee is going to pause this match for a couple of seconds because they've just moved outside the 10-metre square mat, the tatami. She's just taking a couple of pauses, a couple of breaths. Really, really tense this, because as we say, there is so much at stake. Imagine your entire professional career, if you like, coming down to a fight that lasts only 4 minutes. There is so much on the line for both of these fighters, but at the moment, neither able to edge ahead in this match, Tony.
Maz, thank you. We'll be back. Well, Maz, you might as well take it through, because we're waiting for Angarid Evans in the women's 100 breaststroke heat here. She's not even emerged from the changing room at the moment, so we can stay with you a little longer. And we mentioned that Chelsea got bronze in Tokyo. The gold medalist from Tokyo is out, so if she can make her way through this tournament, who knows?
Absolutely. Just to say that Chelsea Giles has picked up a Shido, so a penalty for dragging her opponent outside of the 10-metre perimeter, if you like, of the mat. But if you get 3 of those, that converts into a point. Well, actually, you get 3 and you are disqualified. So just something for her to bear in mind. Down to the last 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes now in this match. Again, the referee just pauses the fight, both players composing themselves. But Abe Uta, as you mentioned, a 4-time world champion, Tony, in this weight division, in the 52 kilograms, out in the last couple of minutes. Quite difficult scenes to watch, in fact, because she was so emotional, having to be comforted by her coach as Chelsea Giles again grapples with her opponent, Larissa Pimento, on the mat. And again, the referee pauses this match. 1 minute 25 now, the clock has stopped. Her coach on the sidelines just offering words of encouragement, nodding his head. Chelsea Giles again standing up, assessing her options, just spreads her arms out wide and then goes into that familiar sort of stance, that hold that we see the judoka take, as that she then tries to grapple with her opponent. Now get that grip on the lapel. That's really crucial in judo. That will allow you then the position, the balance then to try and dislodge your opponent, get her down onto the ground, then do groundwork when to try and get her on her back, as Giles there is thrown again by her opponent, manages really well to get up and make sure she doesn't get that contact from her shoulder or the shoulder blades on the ground. And again, this match is paused. 54 seconds left in this bout. Chelsea Giles of Great Britain, the bronze medalist from 3 years ago in Tokyo, one of the big medal hopes for Great Britain in the judo. And now, with less than a minute to go in this fight against Larissa Pimento, Abe Uta from Japan, who so much was expected from, just 24 years old, one of the huge names in this sport, already out this morning. That the big shot really that we've seen this morning in the judo. Chelsea Giles looking to avoid a similar exit at the round of 16 stage, again grappling with her opponent on the mat at the moment. Larissa Pimento trying to get a hold there. If you manage to pin your opponent arm, get her in an arm lock or in a net lock, that's another way as well that you can get a nip on. If you hold that for 20 seconds and your opponent concedes, that again is a way to win a point. Wazari, if you are able to hold your opponent between 10 and 19 seconds. And there's been another penalty given to Chelsea Giles, a second Shido. Remember, if you get 3, you are disqualified. So she really has to watch now her discipline in this fight. On the ground again against Larissa Pimento. Again, the referee pauses this match. No points on the board from either player yet. And if we run down the clock and we have neither player scoring a point in the 4 minutes that are allocated for this match, then we go into a golden score situation, similar to what we were hearing from Sarah Orchard and Tom Vondel yesterday in the rugby sevens. It really is the drama, and that ding you hear there, that bong, that is the end of the 4 minutes. We are into a golden score period now. Whoever gets the first point on the board in this match, remember, neither judoka has been able to get a score yet, will win this match and be through to the quarterfinals. Is it going to be Great Britain's Chelsea Giles?
Do we know how long this period lasts then now, that they've got to try and make a score?
This lasts as long as it lasts before someone is able to get a score, Tony, until someone is able to get an Ippon, get a Wazari. And of course, the other big thing that we were just saying there is the fact that Chelsea Giles is already on 2 penalties, 2 yellow cards, if you like, 3 of those, and she is disqualified. So she's probably, not really got the momentum in this fight. She was just talking to a coach there again. He was telling her to keep it tight, keep it disciplined. Perhaps a bit of a nervy performance this from Chelsea Giles. She's seen one of her other big rivals, Amadine Bouchard, one of the names of these games, one of the faces of these games for France, one of their big medal hopes, just go through on this mat ahead of her. I think both those players were conscious that Abe Uta would be one of the judoka perhaps they would be facing in the later rounds, but of course there were gold medalists from Tokyo out, and these 2 players outside of the 10-metre square of the tatami of this mat. And again, the referee is going to pause fist fight with 1 minute and 3 seconds of the golden score period played. Chelsea Giles of Great Britain against Larissa Pimento of Brazil. Still nothing to separate these two players in the 52 kilogram category in the judo at the Champ de Mars. You might have been able to hear there the screaming from the Brazilian coach on the sidelines. They're very easily able to communicate, of course, with the judoka in this sport. And again, Chelsea Giles just pauses, tries to go again.
Just to clarify the format, Maz, just to clarify, if she loses, she's out, is that it?
If she loses, she is out. The last 16 is the round before the repechage, if you like, Tony. If you get through the round of 16, even if you then lose in the quarterfinals or the semi-finals, there is still a chance of a bronze medal, which is, of course, the route that Chelsea Giles went 3 years ago when she picked up that bronze medal in Tokyo. But this match so tight, and the Brazilian player, Brazilian judoka, just taking a couple of seconds there to just readjust. She had a slight issue with her wrist there. Here we go again. 1:48 seconds now. 1 minute and 51 seconds of this golden score period. We continue until one of these two players, either Chelsea Giles in the white for Great Britain or Larissa Pimento of Brazil in the blue of Brazil, managed to get an ippon, a wazari, an arm hold, a choke hold in this match. Can she get onto her back? Giles there thought she'd managed to get the golden score, but it's Pimento who has managed to get the ippon. And Chelsea Giles of Great Britain, bronze medalist from 3 years ago, is out at the Champ de Mars on the judo mat, and she sits on her haunches in disappointment. We played 2 minutes and 10 seconds of a golden score period with neither judoka able to find a score in the 4 minutes, and Great Britain's arguably best hope of a medal in the judo at these Paris Games is out at the round of 16 stage. We've seen the gold medalist from 3 years ago, Abe Uta, go out. We've now seen Great Britain's bronze medalist from 3 years ago, Chelsea Giles, out as well, out at the round 16 stage. So no chance for a Great British medal in the 52 kilogram judo. Chelsea Giles out at the round of 16 stage.
Thank you, Maz. Really disappointing that. She's out, Chelsea Giles. Let us now head... We've seen a swimming hero in the pool this morning in the form of Leon Marchand. Let's go to gymnastics now with Lewis and Ellie. And Ellie, I don't know, Simone Biles, the greatest ever, one of the greatest ever. How does Simone Biles?
I think you can say the greatest ever without any question of doubt, Tony. She's the most decorated gymnast in history, in gymnastics history. 37 Olympic and world medals, including 7 Olympic medals, 4 golds in Rio, and then expected in Tokyo to go on and add 4 more at least. And then we know what happened next, didn't we? I remember that day of the team final when she managed her first vault and then had to withdraw because of just the confusion, the mental health problems. She got abuse afterwards. She went through the most terrible time. It's unimaginable what she went through. But the pressure on this USA team, and that is just the cheer for Jordan Childs completing her beam routine, the first USA gymnast here in the arena today. And when Simone Biles, actually Lewis and I just nipped to get a drink and we were walking along, the noise, you could hear the cheer from miles away.
Yeah,
this team.
If you don't embrace this, it's a scary situation to be in. But I think if any team can be used to this level of pressure and expectation, I think it's the American team. Their college scene and their national championships, it's like an Olympic Games in itself. So the crowd were absolutely electric when Simone Biles was announced. So this is going to be such an exciting competition, and I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it.
She will go fourth on beam. She is, she's just the best, as Tony said, and I can read out the list of the medals, but what makes her the best in your eyes?
In mine?
Yeah.
She's just she's a pioneer. She's a trendsetter, and to follow the legacy of America already in terms of their Olympic history and their medals, it's hard to improve on that. But Simone has taken it to a whole new level. She really is, crafting a new kind of dimension within gymnastics, and it's been a pleasure to not only compete alongside that, but now on the sideline sit and watch and enjoy it. Yeah, she's one of a kind.
And the fact that she has all these different skills which are named after her, and we may see another debut in competition today.
Yeah, she's put forward another skill on the A bars, a forward hip circle with a 1.5 turn. So she's taken over. You know, she's naming half the skills in gymnastics. Yeah, well done to Simone.
Yeah, and to do what she has done, Tony, and to go through what she went through in Tokyo and then in the time since, because she got terrible abuse from all quarters. You know, people who didn't effectively know what they were talking about or didn't try and find out anything or to give them to inform themselves. But she's come back and she will compete in the next few minutes for the first time at this Olympic Games in Paris.
Ellie, another magic moment from Paris, and we're only on day 2. Fantastic. Thank you, Ellie and Lewis, there at the gymnastics. Here at the pool, when I came here, somebody said to me, quite a few people said to me, are you going to take your trunks? And I thought, well, what possible use could my trunks be? And yet we've just seen a middle-aged bloke with receding hair and love handles jump into the Olympic pool on official business. Karen, what just happened? Could have been me.
One of the athletes' swimming hats came off, so they had to hold up the race while they sent someone into the bottom of the pool to retrieve it. And I can say with some certainty he wasn't an athlete.
I mean, if you knew that was your job, Tony, you'd be on no carbs, wouldn't you? No carbs before Paris. I mean, that was an absolute disgrace. And his trunk game was strong as well. They were like fluorescent.
Yeah. Well, are we being unkind? I mean, he had a little. He didn't have a capital D, did he? He had a lowercase d, but he had hangover. Is that what we call it in swimming terms?
Muffin top, my kids say.
Muffin top, yeah.
Not to me, obviously. He wouldn't say that to me.
Anyway,
Definitely didn't have a six-pack.
No, he got I now feel judged. I'm not standing up in the next half an hour. He got a big round of applause from the crowd anyway, which is great. That aside, let us go, I think, to the rowing, he said, hopefully. Yes, Chris
yes,
Jones.
We're here.
And Jess, hi, Chris.
Yeah, hi there, Tony. Yeah, okay, we're going to recap just what's happened in the last half hour or so, because two of GB's biggest, strongest gold medal prospects have been on the water for the first time. The men's pair in this stat category is going to be super competitive come semi-final and final time, but Ollie Wynne-Griffith and Tom George romped their heats, their safety through to Wednesday's semi-final. And then we've seen 2 heats, Jess Eddy, Olympic silver medalist from Rio, of the women's lightweight double sculls with 2 oars each. Emily Craig and Imogen Grant, imperious, but the Romanians also strong. So even though Grant and Craig have been unbeatable this Olympiad, they're still going to face some stiff competition.
Yeah, pretty much a walk in the park for the British combination. They won by absolutely miles, but then slightly worryingly, the second heat just came down. The Romanians, the European champions, also made it look easy.
Yep, so Tony, the men's pair and women's lightweight double sculls on the water for the first time as they start this bid for gold. And we're going to see the men's pair and the men's 4 rather, and the women's 4 with Helen Glover coming up shortly as well.
Great, what a busy morning. It's fantastic, isn't it? Chris and Jess, thank you very much indeed. Well, boxing action's underway at the North Paris Arena. Ireland's Tokyo bronze medalist Aidan Walsh has started his campaign against the home hopeful Macan Traore. I've had a casual coffee in a Parisian cafe with him, but let's speak to Steve Bunce now in his spiritual home at ringside. Buncey, hello to you.
Tony, hello to you. Now, before we go any further, can I just check, is that job available at the pool for the hat retrieval or goggle retrieval? Because I have been on a high-carb diet and I fancy a little bit of that diving in, retrieving hats and goggles.
I thought it was you, mate, to be honest. I did give that shout as the bloke went in. How hard do you have to swim for your hat to come off, by the way? But
how deep does it have to be? Can't you just click it up with your feet like we all do as parents when our kids drop their hats? Anyway, getting on to Aidan Walsh. He won the first round clearly on all 5 scorecards. In the second, he lost it on 4 of the scorecards, and in the third, he lost the round, but he also had a point deducted. And I think the point was deducted for not engaging. He's a very elusive boxer, Aidan Walsh, so his hopes are over. It's the second Irish loser. No chance of Aidan Walsh getting further than he did last year, at the last Olympics, where of course he got a bronze medal. So he's out, Tony.
What else have we got to look forward to today, Buncey?
In about an hour and 20 minutes' time, Commonwealth Games champion Rosie Eccles heartbreakingly fell short before Tokyo. She's here I like Rosie an awful lot, and in a 50-50 fight, you know that expression, who do you want in the trenches with you? Well, of the 6 boxers in the GB team, don't shout it too loud, I'd have Rosie Eccles next to me in any form of any trenches at any time in any city, no matter how late it is. But she's got a tough one today, and all of the drawers I've been talking about is tough and is hard, but she's got a particularly hard one today. She's got a Polish woman who's elusive, and Rosie doesn't like that. Rosie likes you to stand in front of her, throw down the gauntlet and let your fists go. Rosie Eccles will be on about 10-1, and I think we're going to be coming to us. Conor McNamara's with us today doing the commentary.
Brilliant. Right, yeah, we'll definitely be with you for that. Cheers, Bunsey. We'll say hello to Conor a little bit later on. Let's take a quick breath from the Olympics and head to Edgbaston. It's day 3 in the 3rd Test, England against the West Indies, and Henry Moran's watching for us.
Good morning, Tony. Yeah, around about 10 minutes or so until the start of play on this 3rd day, a day that could well see England wrapping up a 3-0 series clean sweep. We head into it with West Indies 33 for 2. They still trail England by 61 runs after a topsy-turvy day yesterday. England found themselves at one point at 54 for 5, but big partnerships involving Joe Root and Ben Stokes, and then Jamie Smith and Chris Wokes, getting England to a total of 376. Smith was outstanding, making 95, falling just short of his maiden Test century. And before close last night, a couple of wickets falling. Craig Brathwaite, the West Indies captain, without scoring. Kirk McKenzie for just 8. And West Indies, when play starts in about 10 minutes from now, will be 33 for 2, trailing by 61.
Cheers, Henrik. Thank you. Here in the pool, we're now on to men's 100 metres backstroke, and Johnny Marshall and Ollie Morgan go for Team GB. From what I can gather, both of them making their debuts, Olympic debuts, Alistair.
They're going to go in the 5th heat of 6, so again we're looking for the 16 fastest times in that to make it through to the semi-finals. I thought I'd just round up very quickly, Tony, what has happened here in the pool today for those who might have missed it. Angharad Evans, we've just watched her go in the women's 100 metres breaststroke, 12th fastest in qualifying, so she makes it through to the semi-finals. That's her international debut for Great Britain, so a decent debut performance for her. Mona McSharry of Ireland, 3rd fastest in qualifying, must be an outside chance for a medal. You and I, Tony, saw some of her fans all decked out in the Mona McSharry kit. In the Irish green on the way out of the tube station today. Max Litchfield, brilliant swim of course in the men's 400 metres individual medley. Leon Marchand stole the show, but Litchfield 2nd fastest in qualifying, and Matt Richards and Duncan Scott 6th fastest and 11th fastest qualifying for the men's 200 metres freestyle semi-finals later on.
Good. It's been brilliant in the pool today, although not a patch on last night where Snoop Dogg made an appearance just behind our commentary position, or Snoop as we now know, he's everywhere. I have news to impart from the gymnastics where we've been trumped heavily. Watching Simone Biles now, there is Ariana Grande, Tom Cruise, Antoine Griezmann, Anna Wintour and Snoop Dogg. They're all there. Short of the Backstreet Boys, they've got the full collection. Eleanor Aldway, is Snoop anywhere in your vicinity?
Lewis has just spotted him, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to miss him in his American tracksuit and his 7-foot tall figure.
Yeah, and he's also got a camera pointing in his face as well. So they do. You know, this place is absolutely crawling with people this afternoon, with journalists. Absolutely everybody in town wants to come and watch this USA gymnastics team, and the tiny figure who is sitting now on the mat at the end of the run-up for the balance beam, and that is Simone Biles, of course. She is minuscule. When you see her close up, she has the weight of the world on her shoulders and the weight of expectation, Lewis.
Yeah,
but she's so small, and she's actually such a kind of a modest person, I think.
She is, and you can't escape the expectation and pressure that's on her shoulders. She's just taken a minute now. She's sat down on the mat, just kind of gathering her senses and just calming her inner zen, I guess, before she takes on this balance beam. I mean, the way it's working out, it looks like she is going to be the last gymnast up in this rotation. So it will be the whole stadium watching Simone on beam in the first rotation of this competition.
Yeah, and thinking about what she went through in Tokyo, as we said earlier on. But she still came back. That's the extraordinary thing. She still came back and won a bronze on balance beam after what she went through. Let's wait for the announcement.
There we go. She's got the green light. Up next on beam, Simone Biles from USA.
Yeah, massive cheer in the auditorium, the Livesey Arena, and the place goes silent now as she mounts the beam. This tiny area that they have to cover, the width of the beam is only 10 centimetres wide, and she completes her first pass of the beam, and just
not even
watching her do what she's like. No, she looks so calm, doesn't she, Lewis, doing what she does.
She's always been a very competent beam worker, always very strong and very reliable. Look at that, triple spin, not a flinch, not a stutter, and she's up. The free walkover, her leaps clean, no issues there, working towards another big pass. Wow, flick layout on the beam. Again, no movement, solid as a rock. And she's really showing why she is the best in the world at gymnastics. The amount of pressure, and it's not even phasing Simone Biles.
She just looks like she's having a little bit of a session in the gym, in the sparkliest of leotards.
Here we go for the dismount, flick, pulling back out, tiny hop. And you can hear the audience. What a way to start off the competition for America. All their routines clean. Wow, what a performance there from Simone Biles.
This from a gymnast who 3 years ago didn't know which way was up when she was competing at her last Olympic Games, but she high-fives every one of her teammates, and all the cameras in this Livesey Arena are on Simone Biles, who can just breathe a sigh of relief, pack her stuff into her rucksack and move on to the next rotation. But what a privilege to watch her, Lewis.
Do you know what? I'm not convinced the Back Street Boys aren't here. I feel like everyone's here. And it's so good to be in the presence of potentially witnessing more greatness.
Tell you what, Lewis, we were talking the other night, and I bet Alan Shearer doesn't expect to be quoted at the Olympic Gymnastic Arena, but he says pressure's for tyres. At that level, presumably pressure just doesn't count. Really, you've soaked enough of it up in your life that it's just all about the performance.
I mean, her legacy in the sport is big enough where she can kind of do a victory lap of this Olympic Games, and whatever happens, she'll always be the most successful gymnast. However, the last Olympic Games didn't go the way that she wanted it to, so there will be things that she wants to right, and she'll want to potentially finish her career with a statement. And as if it finishes anything like it starts, I think she's well on track to do that.
Okay, well look, guys, back with you shortly. Your mission, Lewis, by the way, is to try and spot Tom Cruise in the next...
He's not very big either.
Oh, he'll be abseiling down from the ceiling at some point, I'm sure.
He's probably in Snoop Dogg's top pocket, to be fair. We'll be back with you guys very shortly. Let's talk equestrian eventing for the moment. It's familiar territory for Tom McEwen in the cross country. He led for large parts of yesterday. He's back to the top of the leaderboard today with a score of 25.8. We'll get the latest from Sonia very shortly, but let's hear from Tom speaking to Rishi Prasad.
Tom, I saw your face and a little punch of the air as you came back in under the time. Just talk me through how you felt at that moment.
Yeah, that's not too common for me. I was actually quite quiet for most of the round, and then actually had to get a bit of work and action to really get these lines accomplished. And yeah, a bit of emotion came out, which doesn't often happen, but Dubs was fantastic today. He ate the ground up, he's up on the time everywhere, and I must say, when I was watching on the big screen, which we can watch quite easily from the warm-up arena, seeing Sarah Ennis have a few time penalties, I did think this is going to be a pretty tight, tough test with speed, but Dubs kept the flow all the way around, and the course really allows you to get into a good flow early on. And then actually, in places, I was actually a little bit too open for some of the combinations, but Dubs ran incredibly, so just delighted with the whole team and all the effort they've put in, and and hopefully it's put Team GB in great stead going forward.
The crowds and the atmosphere already has been amazing, just watching from afar. What did it feel like out there?
Honestly, one of the best things I've ever done. I love Tokyo, it didn't need crowds, I was quite happy with what I did. But to come and experience with crowds, and especially in France, I mean, there are crowds surrounding the whole thing, and it is great. They are vocal from start to finish. It's just a shame we're only allowed one horse and we can only do it once. I'd love to have another go around later, but the crowds are amazing. I must say, trying to get the time and being so close on the ropes, there'll be some pretty close-up pictures of my knees, I think, coming around the corner. But yeah, it was amazing, and it really picked up dubs. And these amazing horses absolutely love performing in front of a crowd. So for him, it just lifted him all the way around.
There we are, that's Tom McEwen speaking to Rishi Prasad. We'll get the latest from the equestrian eventing in cross-country from Sonia very shortly. Hope you all enjoyed that tape. I couldn't hear a word because the noise in here went nuts again, and I had a look at the leaderboard in this men's 100 backstroke heat, and of course there's a Frenchman swimming, and that's why the crowd put it up a notch. Right, we've got British interest in the next heat. Johnny Marshall and Ollie Morgan, Karen Pickering and Steve Parry are with us, and as to Bruce Ball. Ali,
I've called that too early. They're in the last heat, so they're not in the next heat. They're in the sixth and final heat.
Right,
but
I'll have to get
go on. That noise, the chap you mentioned there, Johan Ndoye Brouard, the Frenchman who's just recorded the second fastest time in qualifying so far for the men's 100 metres backstroke, and his backstory is disqualified in the semi-finals at the last Olympics. So looking for a little bit of payback on home turf, Tony, and that was a good performance. They enjoyed it.
Right, okay, well, look, we'll be back here soon for that sixth heat. Yeah, there's one in between, so we'll take that in front of us. But let's get the update, as we promised, from Sonia at the cross-country. Hello, Sonia.
Yeah, and you can tell how thrilled and happy Tom McEwen was just by his voice. You can almost just hear his smile, can't you? He went clear with Dublin. No jumping penalties, no time penalties, crucially. So he sits in the lead here at the eventing on his dressage score. Remember, the eventing is the triathlon of the equestrian world. It's the dressage we had yesterday. Today is the cross-country course. This is for a test of the bravery, the skill and the endurance of the horse and rider, and it's all being done here in the backdrop of the Palace of Versailles. Tom McEwen leading the way for Great Britain. He's just one of 3 riders here who have been clear so far with no time penalties. We've actually just seen our first faller. Ronald Zabala from Ecuador took a tumble at fence 25 just next to me here. It's called the Cornelian Dilemma, which sounds a bit like a Bourne Identity movie, doesn't it? But it's full of water, and he took a tumble in there. The horse is absolutely fine. The rider has just had a it's been able to cool off by falling into that water. Nicola, I fully expect, Nicola Wilson, you have probably fallen off into water on a cross-country course.
Yeah, I certainly have. And he was also wearing an air jacket, which is
now interesting.
So when rider is separated from the saddle, then it pulls the cord and it blows up quickly. So he would feel as if he was bobbling around with a life jacket on, to be honest. And although they're brilliant, in a water situation like that, it's difficult to get back on your feet. The horse absolutely fine and galloped off, and you could just see him turning and going to try and meet his horse. I think the horse was still wanting to carry on with the course, wasn't it?
He did.
He wanted fun.
Yeah, he wanted to have fun. Tony, it looks like these riders are wearing bulletproof vests, but they're not. They're chest protectors, which is Nicola has described there. If you fall off, the air jacket goes poof, a bit like an airbag in a car, and it just potentially protects your inner organs from any damage.
That is the best fact I've heard at the Olympics so far. How big does it go? Is it like a Zorg?
Nicola? It doesn't go that big, but it would sort of take your breath away a little bit when it sort of blows. It's very quick when there's a gas cylinder, little small gas cylinder there that blows up the air jacket. You could just see them in their body protectors as they're galloping around. But yes, it's just, there's many safety features. It's a personal choice on whether you would like to wear them or not. It's not you don't have to, but most riders do.
Tony, my niece was wearing one once on a cross-country course. She forgot she was wearing it and jumped off the horse. The thing went poof. The horse got a big shock, disappeared off the cross-country course, and it took us about half an hour to catch her.
I had a silly story as well when I was nearly falling off but wasn't at the landing side of a fence, and I was like, right, the horse has stood still, and I was regaining composure and I was trying to climb my way back onto the saddle, and then suddenly the air jacket went off, and understandably the horse that I was riding took fright, took a side step, and I went plop onto the floor. It was so frustrating.
I'll tell you what, I could do with the supply in the boot of my car, because they did go well on a Saturday night in Burnley, those jackets that did that really well. Listen, back with you two very shortly. Here in the pool, we have Brits in action. Alistair Bruce Ball.
Yeah, so this is the last heat, the sixth and final heat of the men's 100 metres backstroke. In lane 2, Johnny Marshall, the 19-year-old representing Great Britain at his first Olympics. Ollie Morgan doing the same as well in lane 3. And Ryan Murphy, the American, in this heat. World champion last year, gold medalist in Rio, bronze medalist in Tokyo. He is in lane 4. Swimmers lift themselves from the water, launch themselves underneath the surface, go quite deep, they're kicking hard, and then they emerge. Eyes on the red caps in lanes 2 and lanes 3, Johnny Marshall and Ollie Morgan. Karen.
Yeah, Johnny Marshall had the best of the starts of the British pair, but Ollie Morgan coming back strong on this first 50. Expect Ryan Murphy to be very, very consistent through this 100. He's a good 200-metre swimmer as well, but it is a great start from Ollie Morgan, third at the 50.
Third at the 50, Christou the Greek was the quickest. There's a Frenchman in the field as well, and that is why the noise levels are rising. Ewan Tomac is in lane 6. The British swimmers working hard. Last 20 metres or so of the race. Ollie Morgan slightly ahead of Johnny Marshall here, pushing for the wall. Ryan Murphy and Apostolos Christou are going to be the first couple to touch there. Yes, they are. Christou first, Murphy second, Ollie Morgan third, and Johnny Marshall sixth quickest in that heat. And we'll have to see how those times stack up from the rest of the 5 heats that have gone before. Need to be in the 16th fastest to get yourself through to the semi-final. So we'll just wait for those times to process. Steve, go on.
Sorry, go on, Steve. Go on.
Yeah,
go on.
I just say we're looking good there. Ollie Morgan's through in 11th and Johnny Marshall's through in 16th. So job done.
The only thing I was just going to mention, we've got to go to the news shortly, but I just want to mention Ollie Morgan because I interviewed him on Drive actually some short while ago, and the curious thing about him, and he talks about it a lot, is he didn't really get into swimming till late in the day. I think he talks about when he was 18. How unusual is that?
That is quite unusual in swimming. I mean, the latest you certainly in the women's game you've got to get into it a lot quicker because they develop more quickly. But you know, it's I've never heard of someone at 18 getting serious about swimming and making it, but he's looking very good, and if he can get into the 52s, which he's done earlier in the season, he'll be right in the mix.
Good stuff. Right, what a first hour of today's coverage that has been, and it goes on and on, 13 hours a day at the moment. Chappers will be here in a couple of hours' time to take you through the afternoon, and then Kelly Cates the evening session. Right now, we will take a breather. We'll have the 5 Live News with David Mooney.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
The Mayor of Greater Manchester, Andy Burnham, says no one has a complete picture of the Manchester Airport incident after new footage has emerged. It appears to show 2 police officers being punched to the ground moments before one officer kicked and stamped on a man. The BBC has been unable to verify the source of the pictures. A migrant has died trying to cross the English Channel to Britain in an overcrowded vessel. The French authorities say 34 other people were rescued off the coast near Calais. They also say several people on board refused help and were allowed to continue their journey because of the risks of intervening. The Israeli military says it has struck Hezbollah targets deep inside Lebanon. Israel blamed the group for a rocket strike on the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights. 12 people, mainly children, were killed when a football pitch was hit. Hezbollah has denied any involvement. And the former Home Secretary, Priti Patel, has entered the race to become the next Conservative leader. She's the 5th candidate to put themselves forward after James Cleverly, Robert Jenrick, Tom Tugendhat and Mel Stride.
Whatever you're in the mood for this summer, find it on BBC iPlayer.
Aha! I'm in!
Dive into explosive US box sets like Suits.
The bar tried to get me to take over as managing partner. They can't do that. They can and they have.
Buckle up for original comedy with Black Ops.
This sounds dangerous.
It is. We'll do it.
Kate, will you stop just saying we'll do it?
Or binge on gripping drama like Kin.
We're gonna have to increase revenue and that'll mean expanding out of Dublin.
If we don't, find a new supplier. We're finished.
Watch on BBC iPlayer.
The Olympic Games, Paris 2024.
With Tony Livesey.
On BBC Radio 5 Live.
Yes, good morning. It's day 2, Paris 2024. Britain have carried on where they left off yesterday in the equestrian event. Sonia McLaughlin's watching.
Yeah, it's cross-country day of the eventing. Britain's Tom McEwen clear with a perfect clear round. No time penalties as Britain stay in gold medal position. Laura Collette up next.
Not such good news today in the judo. Tokyo bronze medalist Chelsea Giles has gone out away from the Brits. You probably heard it in the pool. Léon Marchand from France was fastest through the heats of the 400 metres individual medley. Simone Biles is underway in the gymnastics. In the next hour here on 5 Live, we're going to have Helen Glover in action in the rowing for the first time at the Games. You can follow every moment here on 5 Live, or you can watch it on BBC One, the iPlayer, or via the BBC Sport website.
Paris 2024, the Olympic Games.
With Tony Livesey.
On BBC Radio 5 Live.
Welcome back to the Defence Arena swimming pool here in Paris. 17,000 fans in today. They've thoroughly enjoyed themselves. They've upped the game since yesterday, certainly on the disco lighting. And just the showbiz nature of the event today, particularly because the French poster boy Léon Marchand was in action. Steve Parry's watching, Karen Pickering's watching alongside us. Steve, what's your pick of what we've seen so far today, as far as the Brits are concerned?
Well, you've thrown me with the Brits there. I was going to go with the unsung cap man.
Go with the Bunsey lookalike then, who jumped in. Yes,
he was excellent retrieving that American cap off the bottom. But it's a workman-like performance this morning from Great Britain. Duncan Scott, Matt Richards, they cruised through their heats, did what they needed to do, conserving energy for that semi-final tonight. Max Litchfield, he was fantastic. He wasn't scared by Léon Marchand, probably the only one in this auditorium that wasn't. 4:09, right on his PB, almost broke the British record. He's going to be one of the centre lanes for tonight. And Hagrid Evans, she's through in the 100 metres breaststroke, and then we've just seen Ollie Morgan and Jonathan Marshall go through in the 100 back. Jonathan Marshall, game of inches, made it by 1/100th of a second. You'd be gutted to be on the other side of that and watch him from the stands tonight, wouldn't you?
Yeah, blimey, he'll be relieved. Yeah, we've already established swimming's a brutal business. You talked yesterday about the relay members being chucked out if they came up short. What about tonight? Because Adam Peaty's in action, it's hard not to think that is the highlight of the day, or one of the highlights of the day. He's just remind people, because they want to mark their cards about the big rivalry he has with the Chinese fellow. It's anyone's game tonight, really, isn't it?
So the narrative coming into this meet was it was Chin Haiyang. He was calling him out last year. He won the World Championships. He was the new kid on the block in Peaty's absence. He won the 50, the 100, the 200 at last year's World Championships. He broke the world record on that 200 metres, and he was the one that was going to look to take Adam Peaty out. Adam Peaty's swum great earlier in the season, doing 57 seconds, a second off his best time, and we thought Adam's back to his best. This is going to be a right old ding-dong between those two guys, and that's not how it's materialised. The rest of the field is in the mix because they're all off. Peaty's off, Chin Haiyang is off, and it's brought in some of the other players like Kaminga, the Dutchman. The truth of the matter is tonight, Tony, he could win or he could come fourth. You know, it really is going to be down to the fingernails, and I think it's going to be the biggest mental test of his career, and it's just going to be about heart, and it's going to be about guts, and I'm fascinated to see it. What I'm worried about is during the heats in the semi-final, his stroke has really started to break down in the last 15 metres. He has to hold it together tonight, otherwise his form's going to let him down.
Well, if that doesn't wet your whistle for tonight, you can hear it all play out here on 5 Live. That'll be an amazing moment, as will Helen Glover in the rowing shortly. But before that, let's nip back to the equestrian event Versailles. Sonia McLaughlin's here. We've had a faller, Sonia.
Yeah, but not any old faller. This is real drama, Tony, because it's a faller from Germany. Christoph Wahler has gone. And that, if you come off, that means you are immediately eliminated. That is at fence 16A. I'll talk about that fence in a minute. But Germany were Britain's biggest rivals. They were lying in the silver medal position behind Germany overnight. Nicola Wilson, how significant is that?
Oh, it's enormous, absolutely massive. It slightly takes the pressure off the Brits, but they won't be thinking about that. They'll be staying very focused on what they need to do. But the ditch that you're talking about, the horse just dropped his back legs in it. The nature of the course here, those ditches aren't very wide, and the horse is at this level are used to massive wide gates gaping ditches to jump over, and it just doesn't then back the horses off as much as they are used to. And I think the riders here have got to do way more preparation to make sure that the horses respect that ditch and they don't just drop a leg in, and that's exactly what just happened to poor Christoph there, and such bad news for him, but brilliant for Britain.
Yeah, because it means it's a 200-point penalty if you fall off. It means the German score suddenly goes from around 74 penalties. They're now sitting on 278.9 penalties. That means they are gone from this competition, Tony.
But don't speak too soon, because you don't know how the rest of the competition is going to unfold, you know?
Of
Things
course.
like this, we've been seeing horses slip on, at the turn after fence 21. A little slip and a horse, horse and rider having a fall there, that could have the same effect. You know, this is just the pressures of cross-country day at an Olympic Games, when it really, really matters, that you just see those silly little mistakes creeping in, and let's just not speak too soon, I'd say.
I wasn't trying to do that, but I was suggesting Britain are favourites for the gold medal. I understand what you're saying, to expect the unexpected, Tony.
Yeah, it's one of those moments, guys, when you have that kind of etiquette problem. How do you celebrate? It happened in the diving yesterday when the Aussies collapsed, and Britain probably benefited and got a bronze medal. As a result, you feel really sorry for the athlete, but at the same time you're thinking yes. And it's how to respond. Listen, thank you to Sonia and Nicola there at the Palace of Versailles. We'll be back with them very shortly. Here in the pool, we're into the women's 200 metres freestyle heats at the moment. Australia's Ariana Titmus is going to be in the pool very shortly, looking to kick off the defence of her title after defending her 400 metre title last night.
Ariana Titmus looking as strong as ever, as strong as she has throughout the race, touches first and takes gold. Back-to-back gold medals for the brilliant, stunning Ariana Titmus. She takes gold in the pool in Paris in 2024, but she was pushed all the way by the young Canadian Summer McIntosh.
Well, ABB calling it perfectly there. Is there going to be a Summer McIntosh tonight, Steve, or this afternoon? Who's going to push her along in the 400?
Yeah, and
200.
She comes in the form of someone a lot closer to home, Molly O'Callaghan, who she changed with. She's the number 2 seed, and actually she's the former world record holder. These women are swimming so fast. They're the sort of times that you would be expecting 20 years ago when I was in the pool. 1 minute and 52 seconds. I mean, it boggles the mind. But, it's interesting because Titmus and Molly O'Callaghan, they have the same coach. They go head-to-head every day. And I would find that really tough. A lot of people say, I'm friends with the people from my country that I race against. I don't subscribe to that at all. In fact, you want to beat them more than the international guys. You want to be the top dog. You want to be the main woman, the main man on the team.
I'll go back. I'll refer to my original point. Swimming's brutal. And so how far does that extend, Steve? Just generally in high-level sporting rivalry, you're an Olympic medalist. Are you all back slapping in the changing rooms, but ready to ruin their careers in the pool? It's as bad as that.
I was always giving it side eyes, Tony. I was pretending when I was shaking the hands of my main competitors from Great Britain. I didn't want them to do well. I told the press I wanted them to do well. Did I, Eck? And everyone seems a lot closer. If they're on my team, I'm supporting them, unless they're doing my event, and then I'm secretly not. But you want to win, don't you?
We're probably all like that in whatever business we're in. Alistair, we're underway heat 3.
Heat 3, so Molly O'Callaghan is one of the names we're talking about there. Molly O'Callaghan up against Ariana Titmus, not in this heat, but potentially, probably, for the gold medal when it comes round to the final. She is the 20-year-old. She beat Titmus in the World Championship final last year, and as Steve has been saying, the previous world record holder. 200 metres freestyle. They've swum 75 metres or so so far. Molly O'Callaghan is up near the front of the race, but very, very tight at the moment because 5 swimmers, Steve, pretty much touched the wall on the turn at exactly the same time. And now O'Callaghan emerges and seems to be just edging in front.
Yeah, she is totally in control here, Molly O'Callaghan. I mean, her arm speed, her turnover is fractionally less than the rest of the field. She is just doing what she needs to do. Molly O'Callaghan, she has one of the biggest engines of all the swimmers, and she just seems seems to be able to turn it on, and her big strength is her back end speed. And what you'll see tonight is in the semi-final here, coming through when everybody else is tiring.
Right, let's see what she's got then in the final 50 metres of this race. Touches the wall first and turns right in the middle of the pool, lane 4. 1 gold medal to her name already at this Olympics Games. She swam the first leg in the successful 4x100 metres freestyle relay last night. She's just cruising away from her competitors here. Molly O'Callaghan looking as smooth as you like, stroking it in towards the finish, and touches the wall first to qualify. Fastest in her heat, Erica Fairweather, the New Zealander, in second place, and Barbora Simanova of the Czech Republic in third.
Quality that, wasn't it, from O'Callaghan. What we saw there is in the last length she just turned it on and said, hold on guys, I'm going to take it from here, let's do a 1:55 and post the fastest time so far.
Okay, another Aussie up next then, the defending champion, world record holder Ariana Titmus. That'll be something to hear very shortly. Let's head back to the Livesey Arena, the gymnastics, Simone Biles in action. Eleanor Oldroyd is watching.
Well, we've just watched Simone Biles completing her floor routine, and Lewis Smith, you think she doesn't look quite right?
Well, I don't know. The reaction from her teammates at the end of that floor routine looked more like concern rather than celebration. So I don't know, I'm not used to seeing Simone's floor routine, so I'm not sure how it was supposed to finish, but it looked good to me. But there wasn't overjoy from that routine, so...
Yeah, I mean, the height that she gets, the speed that she does her moves is absolutely extraordinary, but yeah, maybe finish slightly earlier. She's sitting down now, she looks all right, all the cameras are on her, as they inevitably are for everything that she does in this Livesey Arena, so hopefully she will be okay, but maybe just not that sense that, you know, this is going to be the big triumphant moment. Just watch her final tumble. Lewis, I mean, it is incredible to watch,
isn't it? She gets such height and elevation. She really is an incredible gymnast to watch. So exciting.
We'll keep you updated, Tony, with how she is looking and how she's getting on, but USA will be next on uneven bars, and the Chinese are brilliant on that. You don't know where to look here. There are so many stars and there are so many brilliant gymnasts, and we keeping an eye on Tom Cruise as well, but also making sure that Simone Biles is okay, which I'm sure she will be.
Cheers, Ellie. Thanks, Lewis. Here in the pool, another superstar's already in action, Ali.
Ariana Titmus is trying to do the Olympic double again, as she did in Tokyo, winning the 200 metres freestyle and the 400 metres freestyle. She won the 400 title again last night, defending her crown. And here she is in the final heat of the morning this Sunday morning. Steve, in this heat, will be interesting to see how she goes against the Chinese swimmer, lane 5, Junchuan Yang, who has been very impressive, 22 years old, won both the 100 and 200 metres freestyle at the Chinese National Championships this year.
Yeah, Yang certainly laid down a marker at those championships, and the Chinese have come to this meet, and with the exception of Chin in the 100 metre breaststroke against Adam Peter, they are all performing. But it's tough this for Titmus. She won the 400 last night. You've not only got the physical requirements that takes, the energy that takes, but also the emotional energy. She would have been here late into the night doing interviews, having to warm down. She wants to get out here, blow the cobwebs off, post a good performance.
Just under half of the race to go. At the latest turn, a sort of clear 3 in front. Yang, Erin Gemmell of the USA, and Ariana Titmus in the green and gold. And it is those 3 swimmers taking us down the third length of this race this morning, swimming away from us towards the far end of the pool. Ariana Titmus just out in front, but Erin Gemmell from the USA going well too.
Yeah, Gemmell looks really strong here in lane 6, but I fancy the Tasmanian from Australia, Titmus, to come through here at the end. She's starting to go to her legs now a little bit, but she is under threat for the win here.
Yeah, Mary Sophie Harvey as well, the Canadian, in lane 3, had a very good third length there, and now she comes powering through, and Titmus under a little bit of pressure in lane 4. All about a qualifying time for a final, but Mary Sophie Harvey of Canada shoulder to shoulder with Titmus here. It's going to be very tight at the wall, and it is Harvey who gets it, the Canadian swimmer. Titmus in second, Yang in third, and Erin Gemmell, the American, 4th fastest in that heat. So Molly O'Callaghan swam 1:55.79, and we'll wait and see, Steve, what time comes up for Ariana Titmus in that heat.
Well, for these guys, that sort of time, it's like them having a Sunday swim, just a leisurely swim, because it's positively pedestrian for him. It's 3 or 4 seconds slower than the times they're capable of posting. O'Callaghan swam within herself, but Titmus must be tired. She didn't look particularly good there to me at the end. It's about recovery for her.
Harvey, the Canadian there, Tony, 156.21. Titmus 156.23. So Molly O'Callaghan quicker in her heat. Those two, I'm sure, are going to duke it out for the gold medal in the final when it comes to it. But interesting what Steve says. Just particularly when you're swimming in multiple events, you've really got to manage the fitness levels and trying to find the peaks at the right times.
I mean, the desire as well. Most of us winning the gold medal last night would still be in Wetherspoons, but she's back here. She's got that desire to want to do it again.
Do you know, Tony, I do find that amazing, joking apart. I only ever thought of winning an Olympic medal, and when I did it, I lost all motivation.
Really interesting.
I just couldn't be bothered, but the idea of another 4 years to go and do it again, I didn't have it mentally to be able to do that. And that's when you look at the likes of PT and these guys that just go from games to games, like Titmus, and just keep on picking up the medals. They're extra special in relation to how they process stuff mentally. It's unbelievable.
If we get time, we'll talk more about that, 'cause that's really interesting about desire. Let's head off to the cricket. Henry Moran's watching Edgbaston. The West Indies seemingly falling a little bit short again, Henry.
Yeah, they've lost their first wicket of the morning. 53 for 3 is the West Indies score. They're still trailing them by 41 runs. And Alec Athanase has been out LBW to give Shoaib Bashir his first wicket of the innings. Former England batter Mark Ramprakash is watching on, and he's looked threatening this morning, Bashir, and he's finally got his wicket.
Yes, he's bowled beautifully, actually. And it was somewhat of a surprise that Ben Stokes started with Bashir and Wood, because Atkinson and Wokes bowled so beautifully last night and moved the ball around off the seam. But this pair are an interesting combination. Wood bowling well over 90 mile an hour at one end, and the spin of Bashir, he's found some turn. He's beaten the bat on the outside edge with his arm ball, and Ben Stokes entrusting him, giving him faith to start this morning and set the tone, and he's got his rewards.
Feels like this is going to be the final day of the series. Hard to see how England won't wrap this up in pretty good time.
Yes, I was round some of the hospitality boxes this morning, and there were a lot of people who were West Indies supporters up until about 3 o'clock, hoping that England would have to chase maybe 150, 170 to make a good game of it. But look, Hodge is to the crease. He played very well at Trent Bridge, and West Indies need an innings from him now.
They do indeed. 53 for 3 the West Indies score. They still trail England by 41.
Henry, Mark, thank you very much indeed. We've been looking forward to Helen Glover getting underway in the rowing. Silver medalist from Rio, Jess Eddy's watching that along with Chris Jones.
Yes, Tony, they go in a couple of minutes' time in the first heat of the women's 4. GB will be in lane 2. We've just seen the end of the men's double lightweight sculls heat, and this Irish pair of Fintan McCarthy and Paul O'Donovan, the Olympic and world champions. You might remember Paul O'Donovan and his brother Gary, who won silver in Rio and went into Olympic folklore with their brilliant interviews. Hello, we're in Rio, but they're back. O'Donovan and McCarthy, one in Tokyo, and Jess, another supreme performance. Everywhere we've looked on the lake this morning, fascinating stories, and this Irish pair looking to go back to back as Olympic champions, another good one.
Yeah, they've been a bit up and down this Olympiad, to be honest, even though they are world champions. And watching them on the lake, just they're pretty rough going. They don't look like the smoothest of combinations, but they get the job done and they won their heat.
And to recap, Tony, in the women's lightweight double sculls, Imogen Grant and Emily Craig breezed into the semi-finals, as did the men's pair of Ollie Wynne-Griffith and Tom George. They look great. But on the water now, Helen Glover and the women's 4. Glover alongside Esme Booth, Sam Redgrave and Rebecca Shorten. Glover, remember, gold in 2012 and 2016 as a pair. She then had a family, came back in Tokyo, agonisingly finished 4th in the pair alongside Polly Swan. She's gone into the 4 and they're on the start line about to start their heat.
Yeah, and Jess, while we wait for it to get underway, how you were in the 8s, you won your silver there, so she's in a 4 now, Helen Glover. How difficult is the transition, extra people in the boat? It sounds quite simple, is it?
Yeah, so Helen was what we call a pair specialist. For most of her career, she rode with Heather Stanning. You really get used to that one other person, everything about them, their technique, their rhythm, all their different little foibles. You know, you really get used to that. So the pair is quite tricky just to work with one person. Coming into this bigger boat, she has 3 other crew members. This crew was world champions in 2022, and they got bronze medal with Helen on board last year. It's taken a bit of time to get used to, but I think they're hitting their sweet spot right now at the right time.
And just on that, just for novices like myself, does the team pick itself? It's not as if you can choose your crewmates. It's all based on ability, isn't it? You're paired off or you're quadrupled off, and that is that. You've got to get used to each other.
Yeah, it's a bit like your family. You can't choose them. You get put into the combination that the coaches think is the fastest. The crew's made out of the people that have won the trials, and you'll sit on the start line with those people. It's not your friends. It's not people you want to row with. It's the fastest combination.
Yeah, and just very quickly, is personality any factor in that, or is it all about timings?
It's about the fastest people, and to be honest, if you are in a crew that is harmonious, that helps, but it's whatever's going to get you from A to B the fastest.
Yeah, it's been interesting, Tony, because we've seen, say, one of the big mottos, I think, from the performance director and from all the coaches at GB Rowing is getting the right people in the right seat, and the men's pair, who we've got to keep flagging, they race Wednesday in the semis and then final on Friday. Absolutely stacked event with some mighty opposition, but those two are schoolmates, Ollie Wynne-Griffith and Tom George. They're big rugby boys. They love the Rugby Weekly podcast. They're really good lads, and they are kind of, they've probably got that combination of being good physiologically as a fit, but also that sort of personality and characteristic. So that's a good example of where the two are meshed. But yeah, really fascinating to see how this 4 have been put together. Glover with Rebecca Shorten, and then the Olympic debutantes in Esme Booth and Sam Redgrave. They're about coming up to the 1,000-metre mark through their heat, going along nicely. En route from A to B, we'll find out how they do very shortly. Let's nip back to the gymnastics, where Ellie and Lewis are watching, and there were slight concerns over Simone Biles a few moments ago, Ellie.
Yeah, well, she's waving to the fans at the moment. She's got a smile on her face, but when she was walking between the rotations or between the apparatus, so between the floor and the vault, Lewis Smith, she was definitely limping, wasn't she?
Yeah, I mean, she took about 4 seconds at the end of her floor routine to lay on the floor through the choreography instead of carrying on dancing, which raised my eyebrows. And then she sat on the edge of the steps after a floor routine and just took a minute, and then we noticed a little limp. So I think she might be working through a niggle rather than it being a full-blown injury, but she's very animated and waving to the crowds, and I think that could be a psychological compensation for, trying to play it off like everything's all right.
Yeah, I mean, they're not feeling 100% the USA team by the look of it at the moment in qualification, Tony. Jade Carey, who was the defending champion on floor, had an absolute nightmare in her routine. She had almost fell off the whole podium, actually, which would have been extremely serious, but she's only scored 10 point something, so she won't qualify for the final, and she looks really pale and washed out and not at all well, so maybe it could be a bit of caution and a bit of worry about one of their teammates. But Simone Biles is practicing her vaults at the moment. She had a little tumble forward. On the last dismount she fell forward. Lewis?
Yeah, so I mean, Simone's just come up short on a Yuchenko double pike on the warm-up, which isn't going to do anything for her niggle that she might be nursing in her ankle. So let's keep a close eye on that.
Yeah, we don't want to worry anybody. We don't want to kind of overreact, Tony, but we just wanted to wrap her in cotton wool and making sure that what happened in Tokyo doesn't happen here again in Paris.
Yeah, drama everywhere we turn today. Thanks, Ellie. Thanks, Lewis. Let's get back to the rowing then. Helen Glover in action in the women's 4. Chris Jones and Jess Eddy are watching.
Yeah, they're moving nicely here, Tony, past the 1,000-metre mark, and they've moved to the front. This women's 4 of Helen Glover, Esme Booth, Sam Redgrave and Rebecca Shorten. Glover in the bow seat, and Jess Eddy, you just said they've got this nice combination of power and poise in this 4.
Yeah, so Rebecca Shorten, who's at stroke, she's got such a calm, cool head on her. She's the kind of person you want to lead the crew, lead that rhythm. Behind her, she's got Sam Redgrave, Esme Booth, really strong, powerful rowers. And then stick Helen Glover in the bow seat. It's a dream.
Yeah, experience at the front and back, and then some powerful debutantes in the middle. Looks the perfect combination, and with 600 metres to go, this women's 4 from Great Britain are moving through the paces and have a lead of almost 7 metres. The top 2 boats from this heat qualify straight to the final. So no semi-finals in the women's 4 or men's 4, straight to the final. That is Thursday at 10:50 if Great Britain can get there. And with 500 metres to go, they've got a handy lead on New Zealand and on China. Helen Glover, Esme Booth, Sam Redgrave, Rebecca Shorten, one of maybe 5 or 6 genuine gold medal contenders in this great British crew. The world champions, the Netherlands, they go in the second heat of this women's 4, but so far so good for Great Britain. And Helen Glover in the bow seat with Rebecca Shorten at the front, and the 2 debutants, Esme Booth and Sam Redgrave, in the middle of the boat. What do we got now, Jess? A few hundred metres to go now, and they have a handsome lead still on the Kiwis.
Yeah, Helen just had a little glance across. She looked at the Kiwis there in that black uni suit. You've got Olympic champion on board, Kerry Williams, who won the pair in Tokyo. You know she's against some tough opposition here, but you've got a length. You've got a few hundred metres to go. Strong position to be in from the British crew. More than 9 metres now between the British boat, the British 4 and the Kiwis, with 250 or so metres to go in this first heat of the women's 4. You notice the water a little bit choppier today despite the beautiful Parisian sunshine, but well navigated so far by the British team. Yeah, a little bit of a headwind today on the course. It slows the race down and it pulls the crews apart. So this is good rowing here from the Brits. They're keeping it loose and relaxed into this little breeze. Well, Olympic royalty, Helen Glover, along with Esme Booth, Sam Redgrave and Rebecca Shorten, with 100 or so metres to go of this first heat of the women's 4, cruising into the final. You hear the applause of the crowd. And you noticed all through the race, you've been saying, Jess Eddy, their shoulders have looked so calm, so relaxed. They cross the finish line and into the final they go. So mark this one in the diary. 10:50 on Thursday, the final of the women's 4, and the GB team of Esme Booth, Sam Redgrave, Rebecca Shorten, and one of the great British Olympians in Helen Glover. They're into that final, Jess. Yep, Helen carried the flag for Great Britain 2 days ago at that memorable opening ceremony. She's now carried the crew down the course to a win. We can't wait to see them in that final. 10:50 Thursday morning, Tony. They're unbeaten in 2024, this women's 4. They remain unbeaten. They've won their heat at a canter, and they're into the final as Helen Glover looks for a 3rd gold medal, along with her team of Esme Booth, Sam Redgrave and Rebecca Shorten. Job done in this first heat of the women's 4.
It's looking good, Jess and Chris. Thank you very much indeed. Let's head back now to the Chateau de Versailles, the cross-country day as part of the 3-day eventing. Laura Collett broke the Olympic record in this event yesterday with a score of 17.5. All the more remarkable as she's blind in one eye. Sonia chatted to her before the Olympics about how she's managed to adapt.
To be honest, it's amazing how quick the body adapts. It was 11 years ago now when I had a bad fall and lost the vision in one eye, but within the space of a few weeks, probably a few months if I'm completely honest, you adapted to things and just retrained and learnt to cope, because there's no other opportunity, so no other chance to do it other than to just get on and deal with it.
It's quite remarkable, but how much does it affect your peripheral vision or your ability to see a stride, see that fence approaching, how to judge the height of it, the width of it? How do you do it? I'm quite in awe.
I don't really have the answer, to be honest. I think it's just, go off feel, and the depth perception was the real hard thing at the beginning. Things would look like they were moving when they obviously weren't, but luckily that didn't last for too long, and peripheral vision and all that, you just turn your head a bit more and make do.
Laura Collett speaking to Sonia before the games. She's underway now, and Sonia rejoins us with Nicola Wilson, a silver medalist from 2012. Sonia, what an amazing story.
Yeah, as she said herself there, it's quite a long time ago now. It was in 2013. She had a horrific fall, and we've had a couple of falls here today, nowhere near as bad as the one that Laura Collett suffered in 2013. It was at Tweaseldown, a course in Surrey. She had a very bad fall, really serious injuries. She was actually in a coma for some time, and I hope no one's having their Sunday brunch, but basically a little bit of bone from her shoulder went up through and damaged her optic nerve. Wow. And she has since been able to recover, to get back on a horse, which is remarkable in itself, and to come back to this kind of level when you've had that kind of difficulty? Nicola has been through the same thing. Nicola, you understand what it's like. You have had a career-ending injury.
Yep, I have had a career-ending injury, but we're a tough bunch, and there's no comeback for me, unfortunately. With a spinal cord injury, that is that. But all respect to Laura. What an amazing start to the competition. She's on course. We've all got butterflies, hoping that she can have a superb round. She certainly won't be thinking about her previous injuries.
Nope, she's made a good start. This is the girl who was part of the team that took team gold in Tokyo 2020 aboard the same horse, London 52. So a much more experienced partnership than they were 3 years ago. They've won the Badminton Horse Trials since that prestigious event in England, and not only did they win it, they led from start to finish. If she could do the same thing here, then goodness me, what that might bring for Laura Collette, given that she is in the gold medal position overnight, having broken the Olympic record in the dressage. Go on.
Just looking at the stats, just 5 of the past 11 Olympic champions have come from the top 5 after dressage, but let's hope that Laura is going to change this big time.
Yeah. She's riding London 52, this stunning bay gelding. She's just in one of the early water combinations and she's made that look exceptionally easy. She's got this little skinny going into it. She asked the horse to sit back and look at that fence. Tell us about skinny fences, because everyone imagines cross-country fences are these big, huge obstacles, but we're asking horses to also really concentrate on tiny, tiny little fences.
Absolutely. Well, they are big, they are wide, but in dimension, but they vary from. They could be like only a metre, but that the horse has to jump through, or they're jumping on angles, or they're jumping corner fences, and then they've got even less to jump. And this is sort of they train for years. They set off at beginner level, they work through the levels, so the horses become really confident, really educated, and really connected with the rider. And the things that you're asking them to jump takes years to get the confidence to do this. But the course here at Paris has got it all in abundance.
This is 28 obstacles, but I should say for horse and rider that actually means 41 different jumping efforts, because some of the fences are single fences, but some of them are also A, B options. Some even have A, B, C, D options. How difficult, Nicola, are those fences where you have got to really work out your route? You need your sat-nav, don't you?
You really do, and it's very difficult for the course designer to cater for all. You've got really experienced combinations, but you've also got nations that aren't quite as experienced. So he's built in lots of long routes, and therefore giving the riders so many options to choose what's best for them. So the course designer is testing the best in the world without punishing the rest, and that's really, really important.
And we've just seen Laura Collette go over. There's a pontoon that they have built that goes straight across. Big drop down, and now this comes to a little skinny again, these little arrowheads, and she has safely negotiated that fence as well. That's the combination at 14 fences out of 28, so she's halfway through the course. There's pontoons over the Grand Canal here, which looks spectacular on the TV cameras as the big drones go up, and they've got the cameras out there capturing all these incredible images. I just wonder, when you are the leader like Laura is, what sort of pressure does that bring when you are out on the cross-country course?
It brings massive pressure, but she came here, as she said, quite rightly said yesterday, pressure is a privilege. She came, she wanted to the Olympics, she wanted to start from the top, and she will deal with each day as they come, and she will not be thinking about that. She'll be thinking about her and her horse, the feel, the feedback that she's getting from her horse, sticking to the plan that she has already got in her mind, but also reacting to what's happening underneath her and the feel and ride that he is giving her. So she'll certainly not be thinking about where she's positioned. She'll be thinking of her fences, her approach, the balance, the line, and her minute markers.
And she's just comfortably cleared logs at fence 19 and 20. Just 8 to go for Laura Collette. Ellie Oldroyd.
Back to Simone Biles on the vault with her ankle heavily strapped, Lewis Smith, and they took a long time to strap her up before she went for her first vault.
Yeah, she was getting some physio down there on the floor, but it's gone ever so quiet here. She steps on the back of the vault, and she's running with pace. And a big Yurchenko double pike. I mean, if there was an injury there, you would never know. I mean, that vault was absolutely through the roof. That is incredible.
One of her trademark vaults. Nobody else does that. She is the only female gymnast to have pulled that vault off. And a bit of a step back on the landing, as you said. I mean, but otherwise, she doesn't look in any trouble, really, physically. Sonia, we'll come back and tell you how she gets on with her second vault. But, she's looking okay, but maybe just a little bit sore.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Ellie. Now, the key thing here, as Nicola, as Laura heads towards the end of her round, is there is a time here. 9:02 is the optimum time. You have got to try and stay under that, haven't you?
You have, otherwise you pick up penalty points. The course is 9 minutes, 2 or 3 seconds, as you say. The riders will have walked it, got their minute markers. They're travelling at 570 metres per minute. They will know where their minute markers are, but equally, some parts of the course are quicker than others. You can't, on a twisty section, like driving a car, you do have to slow down. And then on the motorways, you can pick up speed. So they will know exactly where they are going to lose time, but where they can gain it. And they will have a strategy to achieve that time.
And you can be too fast as well, can't you?
Absolutely, but I don't think that'll be a problem here.
Okay, because if you are too fast, you can sometimes pick up penalties.
Reverse penalties.
Yes, reverse penalties. Yeah. Laura Collette and London 52, and she asked for a big leap over a log into the water.
And beautifully through that water.
And she's done that so well, hasn't she, Nicola?
She really has. The last corner as the final element, which she pops over. They're just in harmony, these two. I'm not going to say anymore.
Yeah, she's now at fence 24, and it won't be long, actually, before I see her away to my right. She's going so well.
She really is. Only a final few fences to do. She looks really good on the clock. Dan or London 52 is looking really fresh. He looks so fit. He's galloping for fun, jumping for fun, and she is so close to the end of the course.
Yeah, it's tense now as we wait to see what Laura Collette and London 52 will do here out on the cross-country course, because they have been the leaders overnight. Tom McEwen, he went clear with no time penalties to put Britain in a really strong position. And we are just waiting to see if Laura Collette can finish in the same style as Tom McEwen with a clear round under the optimum time of 9:02. And here she comes, London 52 with his sheepskin noseband on towards the final fence.
And she clears it.
And she clears
it. For the line. Oh my goodness, 2 seconds over the optimum time. What effect will that have on the score? She doesn't have 2 seconds in hand over the lead of Mickey Young, the German rider. That if he was to go clear inside the time, that would put her individually into second place. But what an amazing round from Laura. Very, very polished. Looks super.
Yeah, and with that, she goes to the top of the leaderboard currently on 18.3 penalties. Tom McEwen second on 25.8, because both of those have gone clear. And as you say, just a hair's breadth of time penalties for Laura Collette. But it does mean, Tony, as it stands, that Britain, because don't forget there are team medals and individual medals here at stake, and currently the British team are comfortably in the lead. They have 67 penalties. The next best are Switzerland with 102.
I found that very stressful, Sonia. I did, honestly. Listen, I've got to go elsewhere, but just very quickly, can either of you explain why you penalised for going too fast? Now, that's
Nicola.
slightly weird.
I think it's more at the national levels that if you're quicker than 15 seconds below the time, then it's deemed to be which is quite right, that you're travelling too quickly. Therefore, you need to preserve the energy for the following day, the final day for the show jumping. So skill in riding is doing as much as you need to do, but also preserving as much as you can for the final phase and the following day. So
I got it. Thank you very much. Right, deep breaths, everyone, after that. Thank you to Sonia and Nicola. Let's get back to the gymnastics and Ellie and Lewis.
Yes, Simone Biles has safely completed her 2 vaults, which will safely qualify her for the final of the vault competition. She is looking okay, isn't she? I mean, even though she has all that heavy strapping on her ankle now, her second vault not as difficult as the first one, her signature Biles 2 vault. And for people who want to know what the Biles 2 vault involves, Lewis, I'm going to get you to describe it because I can't.
So imagine charging down towards the gymnastics vault as she does. And as she gets to the vault, she does a round off, which is a cartwheel with a quarter turn, and she's facing backwards to the vault. She backflips onto the vault, flicks off with her hands, and does 2 somersaults in the air in a folded pike position. And if that wasn't hard enough, she also goes about 15 metres in the air, nearly touching the lights. So it's an incredible vault to watch.
For somebody who is as tiny as she is, to be able to do that, I mean, she's so compact, isn't she? I suppose she folds up, as you say, like a book in that pike position. But to be able to do that 2.5 times in the air, I mean, could you do that?
I've tried it.
Yeah.
I landed on my head, and that was in a soft pit. That was definitely out of my league. And I don't think you can mention my name in the same league as Simone's when it comes to vault.
There has been a bit of drama surrounding this USA team in this qualifying competition today so far, Tony. But Simone Biles, with her strapping on, Jordan Carey, who looked white as a sheet earlier on, actually, and had a horrible time in her floor exercises, also looking a bit brighter. And USA, I mean, they're going to dominate, aren't they? You just thought that team gold, even though we're only in qualifying, team gold is virtually nailed on already. And Simone Biles, what are we going to see her do next? Well, we're going to see her do the asymmetric bars next specifically, and we potentially could see another eponymous Simone Biles move in this as well.
Great, low stuff photo. I've been in one of those pits that Lewis has on his head, on my head as well, at Beth Tweddle's gym on Merseyside.
Did you do a Yurchenko double pike there, Tony?
Well, I just think I just slipped, but
they're not as soft as they look, are they?
No, exactly. That's the point I was going to make. I think we both deserve a medal, Lewis. Right, let's get to the cricket. Henry Moran is watching at Edgbaston for us.
Where West Indies are 81 for 3, make that 82 for 3. They trail now by 12 runs. Just the 1 wicket in the morning session so far. Alec Athanar's out LBW for 13 to Shoaib Bashir. Mark Ramprakash has been watching on here in the sunshine at Edgbaston, and it's been a reasonably placid first, 50 minutes or so.
Yeah, I think West Indies will be quite pleased with the way, in particular, Hodge has settled to the crease. He's come in, he's played a pull shot off Mark Wood, followed up by a cover drive, and he's looked very confident, following on from his good form at Trent Bridge, and in particular he's played Bashir well, although he did outside edge his first ball that he faced between the wicketkeeper Smith and Joe Root at first slip. But one of the things he does well against Bashir is he plays him off the back foot. Bashir quite tall, and he's been picked because of his high trajectory, but he gets back on the back foot and plays that well. It gives him a degree of sort of security, really. So he's building a nice partnership with Louis, who's on his highest score of the series on 31, who has shaped up well, the West Indian opening batsman, who has had some starts throughout the series but hasn't quite gone on, but perhaps today's the day.
And just a brief word on Mark Wood, who's bowled a long spell, north of 90 miles an hour. It's thrilling, isn't it?
It's box office, isn't it? Yes, it takes me back to Brett Lee and Alan Donald and box office fast bowlers coming off their long run. They make things happen, and even if it's not them taking the wickets, then often it will be at the other end. So Mark Wood is a real asset for this England team.
So 82 for 3, the West Indies score in their second innings. They still trail England by 12 runs. Just the 1 wicket, Tony, so far.
Cheers, Henry. Thanks to Mark as well. Let's get off to the rowing. Jess Eddy, silver medalist from Rio, is watching with Chris Evans, and with British interest in the men's fours, Chris.
Yeah, real British interest. We just, as we were discussing a moment ago, watched the women's four, Tony, didn't we? Have Helen Glover and Esme Booth, Sam Redgrave, Rebecca Shorten, imperious in their heat, so they go into Thursday's final, 10:50 on Thursday, while the British men's four looking to play their way, or row their way into Thursday's final. 11-10 that will be. And so far so good, Jess, Eddie. They need to finish in the top two. The Kiwis out in front, but GB nicely positioned in second.
Yeah, top two go straight through to the final in this race. They're sitting about a length down on the New Zealand 4, who actually beat them most recently in Lucerne. So this is kind of going to the form, but can the British squeeze back at all to take the top spot?
Such a great story around this men's 4. This was the blue ribbon British boat. This was the Redgrave boat from 2000. Since 1996, Tokyo was the first time no gold. They won 4 golds in a row, Olympic golds in this boat, but finished agonisingly 4th in Tokyo after a disastrous finish. So all change in the boat. It's Ollie Wilkes, David Ambler, Matt Aldridge and Freddie Davidson. They're all Olympic debutants, and even though they trailed the Kiwis here, Jess, by 12, 13 metres or so, they're comfortably in second and they're on course for that final on Thursday morning.
Yeah, this is looking like job done today. Still need to find a bit of speed to make them one of the fastest in this event. They are world champions, they're European champions, but at the moment sitting in second to New Zealand.
Yeah, world champions, as Jess Eddy says, in 2022 and 2023, beating the likes of the USA and the Kiwis over those 2 events. But can they do it when it really, really matters? That the Olympics didn't happen for the 4 3 years ago, but they're looking good for the final with a few metres to go now. They cross the line comfortably in second place. From the Romanians in third, the Kiwis win it, but it means that Great Britain go into Thursday's final in the men's 4, 11:10 Thursday morning. The women there in the women's 4 at 10:50 on Thursday morning. We saw imperious performances earlier from the men's pair of Ollie Wynne-Griffiths and Tom George, and the women's lightweight double sculls, but both men's and women's 4, Jess, looking really good into the final. Even though the men maybe don't have that expectation around the Helen Glover 4, certainly have put themselves into medal contention.
Yeah, this is their first race at the Olympics for all 4 of these guys, so that is really job done today. They're into the final. Anything can happen there. Yes, they've been beaten today by this really strong New Zealand 4, but I think they're still real medal contenders, this 4.
So, Tony, to recap, we've seen 5 British boats take to the water today. Chloe Brew and Rebecca Edwards in the women's pair. They weren't able to qualify for the semi-finals. They go into the repechage, but it was comfortably done for Ollie Wynne-Griffiths and Tom George in the men's pair. They're into the semi-finals, as are Imogen Grant and Emily Craig, the heavily tipped for gold medal lightweight women's double sculls. They make the semi-final. And then in the women's 4, the Helen Glover boat, along with Esme Booth, Sam Redgrave, Rebecca Shorten, they go into Thursday's final, no semi-final, straight to the final. And the men's 4 as well, Ollie Wilkes, David Ambler, Matt Aldridge and Freddie Davidson also making the final, which will be 11:10 on Thursday. So the medals from Wednesday onwards could come thick and fast for Team GB, and a lot of the British crews are putting themselves into a good position ahead of the medal time.
Brilliant. Chris, Jess, thank you very much indeed. Let's get some boxing action onto the programme now. Steve Bunce and Conor McNamara at the boxing venue, and we're about to watch Rosie Eccles, guys, who's worked really hard to get here.
Yes, hello, Tony. We are ready for Rosie Eccles, who comes from near Newport. Big day in her career, and about to come out in the 66 kilogram category. This is a preliminary, it's a round of 32, but it's the brutal nature of Olympic boxing, not just, Buncey, the physicality of it, but how cruel it can be. You lose, you go home, and there are no second chances, and we can only imagine what Rosie Eccles must be feeling as she prepares to be announced into the arena here.
No repechage, no group stage, no bye for Rosie, and the bye means an awful lot, Tony. For instance, for Rosie to win a gold medal, she has to win 5 contests. If you get a bye, you only have to win 4. That's a massive difference. She wasn't one of the lucky women that got a bye. And as I've said before, and I'm starting to sound like a very old broken record, this is a really difficult draw. You fight the number 1 or 2 in the world, and if you beat the number 1 or 2 in the world, you then fight the number 1 or 2 in the world. And if you beat the number 1 or 2 in the world twice, then you fight a woman in the quarterfinals who everyone considers to be the number 1 in the world. It's almost like a spoof bad draw. I really mean that, Tony.
Rosie Eccles, who you mentioned, Tony, the difficult path she's had to pursue to get here. She missed out 3 years ago because of illness. She would have gone to Tokyo. She had the quality, but struggled with 4 different bouts of COVID. It somehow ended up infecting into her arm, and it became a real problem. in terms of the sport. So the patience has had to come in. The next cycle has come round, and this is what she's been waiting for.
And what she had to do, it was even worse than that, Connor, because she failed to qualify at the European qualifier, which was in London. And of course, that was cut short because of the COVID stuff, which was spiraled so quickly. So she lost in that. And what she'd already started getting in her head, the preparation to go in May of 2020 to the final qualifier in Paris, where the form she was in, she would have been fine at that tournament in May of 2020. Then she would have gone to the Olympics in August of 2020. As it was, on came the COVID with all of the side effects. Then it doubled into injuries. Absolutely broken-hearted 2020, 2021. Watching the Olympics through gritted teeth. Watching so many women that you've beaten. And I've talked to boxers about this before, and it's heartbreaking. I talked to Tasha Jonas, the great pro who fought Katie Taylor all those years ago in London, and she missed the next Olympics, Rio. Here's Rosie entering the arena now.
Here she comes, Rosie Eccles with the game face on, and she pounds her shoulder and she pounds her chest as she comes bouncing into the ring. And, you see the different body language. Some try to stride in, some come out on their toes. Rosie Eccles came with real menace as she came out into the arena. And by the way, it's obviously lunchtime in Paris. The sun is blazing outside. But in here, under very much ultraviolet light, it could be 10 o'clock at night. This is a moody, brooding atmosphere.
And you know what? They seem to do that all of the time with the boxing. They seem to turn our venues into bear pits, which is incredible. One thing I've got to say before this starts, you missed an earlier bout. I know you flew in today and you've got all of the usual stuff, getting yourself signed in, getting your pass. But Aidan Wilson early on, the Irish kid. Now, Aidan Wilson, everybody's cup of tea. He's elusive. He's quite ugly to watch. He was warned repeatedly to engage and got a warning for not engaging. Well, I can assure you, that Aneta Rygielska, the Polish woman, she fights exactly the same way. So if the referees are looking for people to engage, which is Rosie's game, that could be a factor, Connor. Keep your eyes out for that.
Rygielska, two-time European champion. She's been a youth world champion of the past. There's no doubt that this is a very difficult draw for Rosie Eccles as she prepares to begin her Olympic campaign here in Paris. There are only 6 Team GB boxers here at these games, and we are about to see Rosie Eccles from Newport get underway. The red corner for her, Welsh red, as she prepares for the instructions from the referee. They walk into the centre of the canvas. Very well attended event here. We're close to Charles de Gaulle Airport, and you can hear the crowd pounding their feet as we get ready to go. This is Rosie Eccles against Aneta Rygielska, and there is the bell for round 1. There are 3 3-minute rounds. Of course, it can feel like a very short amount of time, but if you're in the ring, this can be an age too. And straight away from the get-go, the centre of the ring being dominated by Rosie Eccles as she tries to force her Polish opponent towards the ropes earlier on. And it's getting down to business immediately. There's no testing the water here from Rosie Eccles.
There's no testing the water, and that's the only way you've got to do this. You've got to fight every single contest at the Olympics like it's a final. Galal Yafai said that. He got the gold in Tokyo. All 5 fights were all 5 finals.
So much of this a mental battle as well as the physical one. Rosie Eccles trying to lead with that left arm and forcing again her opponent towards the corner of the ring, back left from as we face down. Pretty much every seat taken inside here. Not absolutely, there's 1 or 2 empty, but it's very well attended as the pole tries to respond well. And a little shake away from Rosie Eccles, who then powers forward again. And you mentioned that hesitancy from the pole. We're seeing that in the early stages.
Yeah, as I say, they stopped the action and told Aidan Walsh to engage about 5 times. It's not going to happen here because Rosie's forcing the Polish boxer to respond.
There's already been more connections in this fight than there was in all of that Aidan Walsh bout earlier on, where they were very much eyeball to eyeball. That was a good connection with the right arm from Rosie Eccles with 1 minute and 40 seconds remaining in round 1 as Rosie Eccles still commanding that central area of the ring. A little bit more movement now from Rygielska, the Pole, who keeps moving to her right-hand side to try and draw away from that right hand of Rosie Eccles, which she's got cocked ready to bounce again. Mostly, though, jabs with the left of the other. Then there's a combination connection, and this will all be doing well on the scorecard for Rosie Eccles.
It will be doing well on the scorecard. And what she's doing, Rosie, she's not throwing single shots. She's getting her feet a bit closer. She's landing with a jab, then she's letting the right hand go. And that's what you've got to do with elusive boxers. You've got to push them back, make sure they're there for the shots. And she's really forcing the pace in this round, Connor.
Yeah, another good combination. You've got to make connection. You know, you can swing punches, but how you get points, how you impress the judges. And the referee does step in just to briefly separate them again as the Polish boxer Ragielska backs away from the dominant Rosie Eccles inside round one. 45 seconds to go. This is 5 Live for the BBC. And down, a wonderful connection. Left-right combination from Eccles, and Ragielska hits the canvas. She bounces up. She tries to give the body language that she's okay, but that's got to do a huge bit of confidence for Rosie Eccles there to put her opponent on the canvas in round one.
Absolutely. You don't get extra points for like you do in the pros. The referee ruled it a slip, but it was a shot. Don't you worry about that. You spotted it. It was a short left hand. She may have been slightly off balance, but the left hand made her off balance.
18 seconds to go in round one. Rosie Eccles looking to impress in this opening round of her Olympic campaign here in Paris. As they go into a grapple again, we hear the hammer come down to indicate the closing seconds to go. There are 3 seconds before we hear the bell. Rosie Eccles will head towards her corner, and she hopes that this will be merited by the judges, the work that she's put in, as we on 5 Live go and join Eleanor Oldroyd.
Wiles has completed her qualification in the women's gymnastics. She's just finished on asymmetric bars, and Lewis Smith, she looked good. She's going to have a ton of finals to come, isn't she?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was nice for her to take some pressure off her ankle and to be swinging on the bars. I think she just missed her skill that she submitted to have named after her. But I'm sure she'll have another chance to do that, if not in the team final or the all-around final. But I think they'll be very happy with the way that they performed.
Absolutely. Strapping on the ankle, a little bit of concern earlier in the competition, but Simone Biles is back.
Back in the boxing hall in the North Paris Arena, watching Rosie Eccles from Newport. A split decision from the 5 judges over that first round. 3-2, Bunsey.
Well, I thought Rosie won it clearly, so that's not a good sign, Connor. I thought that was a very clear and decisive round for Rosie.
The scores of all 5 judges do count. And in that opening round, 3 of them went in favour of Rosie Eccles, 2 in favour of Agneta Ragielska, and they were all voted 10-9 in either favour, and that shows that the judges feel that it was a close round. The loser round given a score between 7 and 9. 8 would be a clear winner, 7 a total dominance. This has been 10-9 from all judges, 3 of them in Rosie Eccles' favour and 2 in Agneta Ragielska. Back underway in this second round. We've 30 seconds of it elapsed already, and it's a similar dominance of the centre of the ring from Rosie Eccles. The movement from Ragielska, a little bit more on her toes, leaning back away from a punch that comes her way, tries to attack with the right and then swings to the left, and they go into a grapple again in the centre of the ring.
What Rosie's doing here, she's trying to get a bit closer. The men in the corner, Gary Howe and Dave Holloway, they've told her, just slow down a little bit. It's all very well going full pace. Just be a bit smarter, because Ragielska, she needs you to miss. That's when she comes alive.
Both fighters 28 years of age. Eccles has got a 1-inch height advantage. She seems to have these long arms. We often say with Olympians, Michael Phelps has got a body that propels him through the water. She seems to have a long reach with those arms. Rosie Eccles is, once again, this hasn't been as open around. They're clinching together again, and the referee comes in to separate again.
Quickly on the long arms, whilst the referee talks to them, that's not a joke. In Cuba, if you're an 11-year-old kid with a 2 inches longer reach than another 11-year-old kid, you get selected to move on in the boxing academy. The other kid goes and plays badminton. I'm not kidding.
1 minute 15 seconds to go in round 2 after a split decision in the first round, and this is still on a knife edge for Rosie Eccles. Remember, lose and you go home. That's a good combination though. Jabbing with the right, more forceful with the left, forcing Ragielska to step away and to retreat towards the far side of the ring from where we're looking. There's a little tap in her back from Eccles, who felt she was being held onto there, and the referee agrees and comes in and speaks to the Polish boxer.
That's the second time he's spoken to Ragielska about holding. Now that means she's trying to hold to stop Rosie working. One more and she'll get a warning. A warning means a point off, and that is almost in amateur boxing over 3 rounds a guarantee of victory.
Eccles, a regular sparring partner of Lauren Price, who won gold in Tokyo and has since turned professional. Olympic boxing has its problems, it has its shadows, but it is still the platform where professional boxers come from, and it remains that vital pathway in the sport, and having beaten Grónia Walsh in the qualifying tournament, Ragielska, he's trying to impress the judges late on, but caught again. Another firm left into the face from Rosie Eccles, who is landing these punches with an accuracy now. She's not wasting punches. Those she throws are connecting with 6 seconds remaining in round 2. Rosie Eccles from Wales in the red corner, attacking as the bell goes, and back to her corner with a very visible smile on her face as we prepare for the final round in Paris.
I thought that was a really strong round, and yet the way it's been scored makes it really tight. Three of them have given that to the Polish woman, which I'm mildly stunned at. In fact, I'm extremely surprised at. So we have a really tight fight on our hands now. We've got 2 scores each with 1 score even.
Very tight going into the third and final round, the women's 66 kilogram category. Rosie Eccles knew this was not going to be easy. She knew she was up against a very experienced operator, and it comes down to this: 3 minutes to try and prolong her stay in Paris and to take a step closer to the podium.
And to get what I believe she deserves. I thought she won the first round clearly. I thought she won the second round. I know why they're scoring it the way they are.
The Team GB evidence of a crowd here making itself more apparent. Union Jacks floating as we get underway. 3 minutes to go, round 3 at the North Paris Arena. And as she has in each of the rounds so far, Rosie Eccles starts dominant, connects with a very firm right to the face, and you can hear gasps for the crowd there. That was a firm hit as Ragielska clings onto the shoulders of her opponent and tries to get a breather. Now she's backpedaling away, but Rosie Eccles is going searching for this. Another double left punch towards the face there. And that grappling, a bit of body work from Ragielska was impressive there as the referee comes in and once again holds the back of his head and has words for the Polish boxer.
What she's doing, Ragielska, is she's holding any part. She'll be very fortunate to get away without a point deduction, Ragielska, in this fight. That's 3 times I think she's been warned. And by the way, Conor, I said Rosie needs to be a bit cautious. Forget it. What I said earlier, forget it. Last 2 minutes, just got to go for
2 minutes to go. All the preparation, all the early mornings, all that time in the gym, it's all for this moment now. And those punches continue to land. Better body work there from Eccles, who has received a few blows in this third round herself. And the referee once again reaches to the back of the head, points at Ragielska. How many times is that, Bunsen?
At least four, and that's too many.
Just over 90 seconds remaining in round 3. And Rosie Eccles just stepping away, trying to suck the oxygen into the lungs, trying to prepare for one last big push here after split decision in both of the opening rounds. 3 judges to 2 in Eccles' favour in round 1, 3 judges to 2 in Ragielska's favour in round 2. And which way is the pendulum going to swing here in round 3? That was a decent connection from Eccles, slightly propelling Ragielska backwards, but the Pole regains her composure, comes in the attack, throws a combination, both of which hit left hand and right. Eccles, though, keeping the head down, keeping focused, tries to pick a punch through the defensive guard into a clinch. They go again near the red corner. Referee just allows them to sort it out between themselves, and we've 50 seconds to go in this bout, Steve.
50 seconds to go, and she's doing such a good job here, Rosie. She's throwing the good shot, she's getting the feet in the position, and when she's in close, she's not engaging in the holding. She's trying to break free, and she's throwing punches. She's engaging. Not another hold on. That's the 5th time, the 2nd time in this round the referee has warned Ragielska about holding. I'm amazed, I'm shocked and stunned she's not been deducted a point.
25 seconds to go in round 3. A little jig of a dance from Ragielska, perhaps trying to show the judges that she still has plenty in the tank and she's not wearing out here.
That's the point off. That's crucial. That means I don't want to sing too loud. I think that gives Rosie the fight.
So a point deduction for Ragielska for repeated infringement, and Rosie Eccles sticking to her task here as the bell goes. And very visible celebrations from both sides. Both fighters raise a glove in the air of celebration, but Rosie Eccles has a confident look at her face, the smile as they take the mouthguard out in the corner, and she believes she's done enough, but you can never tell until she hears it for sure.
And listen, I thought she won that round anyway, but I thought she won the previous 2 as tight as they were. The judges went against her in the previous 2 rounds. Even if they go against her there, it's such a complicated system, Conor. I wouldn't even dream to try and explain it to myself, let alone to you and the listeners. But it would require three of the other judges to believe the Polish woman won comfortably for it to go to a tie-break decision. As I said, it's too complicated. Don't get me started on explaining complicated issues. I think Rosie's done enough. I think Rosie gets this. I think the score will be 4-1.
You mentioned the unorthodox style of Rygielska, and Eccles would have studied the form. She would have been prepared for it. It feels like it was a well-executed bout. Rygielska still standing with her finger pointing towards the sky, hoping to preempt a celebration as we await the announcement from the judges here in the North Paris Arena. Here we go. Split decision, we knew that. It's a win in blue. Agneta Rygielska, despite the point deduction, is given the victory in the North Paris Arena. And right-hand Rosie Eccles from Caldecott near Newport sees her Olympic dream evaporate in front of her. The disappointment as she walks back towards the corner, the visible celebration from Agneta Rygielska. It could be so cruel. The knockout stands. There's no second chance. That's it for Rosie Eccles. And Team GB bids farewell for this Paris Olympics to the girl from Wales.
I'm genuinely shocked. I'm stunned. I thought that she would get it. Two of the three judges I was worried about, they did go for her, which gave her a slender point. There was absolutely nothing in it. There's 2 points, there's 1 point, there's 1 point, and two of the scores are even. That was a brutal outcome.
Rygielska from Torun in Poland celebrates as she comes bounding out of the ring, and the visible disappointment for Rosie Eccles, who, having won the first round of a split decision, who having seen her opponent have a point deducted in the third round, but it was still not enough, and her Olympic dream ends. You can see the shattering heartbreak so visible as she makes her way from the Olympic arena. That stings. Tony.
You know, we've got to go to the news, guys, but Steve, I don't want to get you started, but I'll never understand boxing judging as long as I live.
Well, you know, we've cleaned up the act. We've got independent judges here, and I don't have a massive problem with them, but two of the judges came up with a 28-28, and then they got to vote, so they have to choose somebody. So instead of looking at who's been deducted a point, surely you'd go again. Surely you wouldn't choose the woman who's been deducted a point because she's deemed to have fouled. They actually went with her. So really it was two judges to Rosie, one judge to Rygielska, two judges had it even, Tony, try and keep up with me, and the two judges that had it even, they didn't get to vote, and they voted for the woman who'd had a point deducted because of infringement. That I find really hard to explain. You can hear I'm really annoyed.
Yeah, and it's going to take
decision.
It's going to take Rosie Eccles a lot of time to digest that. Steve and Connor for now with that disappointment. Thanks very much, guys. That is really disappointing to hear that, isn't it? Right, we'll be back with Steve and Connor as the afternoon goes along. Let us break now for the news here on 5 Live. Here's David Mooney.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
The Mayor of Greater Manchester says no one has a complete picture of the Manchester Airport incident after new footage has emerged. It appears to show two police officers being punched to the ground moments before one officer kicked and stamped on a man. The BBC has been unable to verify the source of the pictures. Andy Burnham spoke to 5 Live earlier.
I just think there's perhaps some learning for everybody from this situation. You know, we're living in a really complex, sometimes turbulent world. The way these things unfold can have implications for public order, can have implications in communities. The thing I think is wrong is politicians rushing to judgments as well and picking sides and sort of fueling the fire.
A woman has died trying to cross the Channel to Britain in an overcrowded migrant boat. The French authorities say 34 other people were rescued off the coast near Calais. Israel's defence minister says the Lebanese militant group Hezbollah will pay the price for a deadly airstrike on Israeli-occupied territory yesterday. 12 people, mainly children, were killed after a football pitch in the Golan Heights was hit. Hezbollah has denied any involvement. Jotam Confino is a freelance Middle East correspondent in Tel Aviv.
Hamas is so damaged in Gaza that militarily Israel would have the capability to start going to war in Lebanon. The thing is that it's a completely different scale from what we've seen in Gaza. There'll be thousands and thousands of civilians killed, both in Lebanon and in Israel.
The Environment Secretary Steve Reed has accused the previous government of a cover-up on public spending. He claims the Conservatives left some government departments in a catastrophic situation, accusing them of deliberately hiding financial issues. The Conservatives insist what they've left behind is much better than what they inherited in 2010. The Metropolitan Police has launched a murder investigation after a man was stabbed in a park in East London. The victim, believed to have been 20 years old, died at the scene. 2 teenage boys also suffered injuries. And Robert Downey Jr. has announced his shock return to the Marvel film series. He was unmasked as the villain Doctor Doom at the San Diego Comic-Con last night. The actor previously played Iron Man in the series and told fans at the event, "New mask, same task."
He is Brian Cox. Hello. And he understands science. I'm Robin Ince, and I don't understand it quite so much. Could it tell us something about the nature of matter?
No.
OK, good.
Together, we'll be joined by a collection of expert and non-expert guests.
What's going on? Don't worry. Taking a look at some of the most wonderful things in the scientific world.
Science with funny bits. The Infinite Monkey Cage on Radio 4 and BBC Sounds.
The Olympic Games, Paris 2024.
With Tony Livesey.
On BBC Radio 5 Live.
Well, good afternoon. It's day 2 of Paris 2024. So much has happened already. Great Britain are going from strength to strength at the equestrian, Sonia.
Yes, eventer Laura Collette, second British rider clear over the cross-country course following Tom McEwen, whose round was flawless. The GB team still in gold medal position. Ros Cantor still to come.
In rowing, Helen Glover and the women's 4 cruise through to the final. Here at the pool, home favourite Leon Marchand wins his heat at the men's 400 metres individual medley, with Britain's Max Litchfield just behind him. Gymnast Simone Biles shakes off an injury scare in qualification. And Britain's judo bronze medalist Chelsea Giles has gone out of the last 16. We heard just a moment ago, criminally almost, Rosie Eccles lost in the boxing. At the hockey, Team GB's women are getting their campaign underway against Spain. Here's Sarah Orchard.
Yes, the post women are on the pitch. Great Britain's women, the team that haven't failed to deliver a podium finish at the last 3 games, are underway. And what a start. It's already 1-1 with less than 5 minutes played in the opening pool game against Spain.
Still to come today, Andy Murray's in action in what could be his final ever tennis match. And tonight at, mark your cards here, precisely 8:44, it's Adam Peaty going for that 3rd successive gold. We're going to bring you every Team GB medal live here on 5 Live throughout the Olympics. You can follow the action on the BBC Sport website and app, or watch on BBC One and the iPlayer.
This is 5 Live Sports at the Olympic Games.
With Tony Livesey.
On 5 Live and BBC Sounds.
Well, we'll have an Olympics catch-up very, very shortly indeed. But let's nip to the cricket. Henry's watching England against the West Indies at Edgbaston. And Henry, the West Indies are kind of nudging into a position where they have a little bit of hope.
They are indeed. Certainly hope, but there's an edge and there's a wicket. Mikhail Louis goes for 57. He's played very nicely his first Test half-century, but Ben Stokes makes the breakthrough catch at second slip. They'll be frustrated, West Indies. They played well. Their lead has moved on now to 31, but partnership worth 72 comes to an end. England get a second wicket in the morning session. It's 125 for 4.
Cheers, Henry. That right there is why I'm not a commentator. I just tried to do a bit of analysis and look at what happened. Right, we're here at the pool, the Defence Arena. Just have a listen. Yeah, there's hardly a pin drop in here at the moment. A few hours ago or an hour or two ago, 17,000 people were going absolutely nuts here watching their local boy Leon Marchand. We've had Brit interest today, some interesting swims. Right now in front of me in the pool, all we can see are some divers with their oxygen tanks. They're up and down and they're just fiddling with the TV cameras that run under the water. But other than that, it's all preparing for heats and finals coming up later in the day. Steve Parry has been watching everything. Alistair Bruce Ball's been calling everything this morning. Steve, I'll start with you. What do we take away from today so far at the pool?
Well, it really feels like the swim meet came to life today. You know, you've got some really great finals tonight, mouth-watering, men's 400 metres individual medley. You talked about Leon Marchand. I just feel like the roof's going to come off this place tonight. It is, you know, it was manic this morning. I've never known a heat session like it. It's going to be epic tonight. But, you know, let's not forget the Brit interest there. Max Litchfield, this is a great story, this. 4th 2 Olympics ago, 4th in the last Olympics. Can he go one better? It would be fourth is the worst place to finish. I categorically don't want that outcome from him tonight. And then just as well, another class swim tonight. Women's 100 metres butterfly. Gretchen Walsh, I think she'll break the world record.
Another big date tonight. I think we said 8:44. It could be 8:45 or 8:43. I don't want people to sue me. But around that time, 8:45, Adam Peaty will go. He qualified fastest for the 100 metres men's breaststroke. He's going for that third consecutive event gold, the three-peaty. He spoke to Sharon Davis after last night's semi.
You were looking very confident in there. Knocked another half a second off, going in exactly the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about building again, building better. Don't overcomplicate it. It may be an Olympic final tomorrow, but it's going to be an absolute privilege to be out there from what we've both been through. And this sport is so testing. But you can't beat that really. Great crowd. I enjoyed it. I'm loving it again. So what else can you add aside from a chocolate cake?
Saw a beautiful shot of your son. Does he know what Daddy's doing?
Don't even talk about my son. It just makes me cry. He goes, "Daddy, are you the fastest boy?" That's what he says. Even if I haven't seen him for 2 weeks, that's all he cares about, I guess. But I guess I just want to be the fastest boy tomorrow. Keep it simple.
What do you do between now and then?
Recovering. Probably a lot to work on still technically, but it's really tough on that back end because I know that this field has been a bit slower. All respect to you. It's just where the Olympics work. You know that. It ain't about a time here. It's about the races, and I'm hoping that's good enough time there for Wilby to get through the final as well. We'll see what these do here, because I've been racing Wilby now for a very long time, and it's an absolute pleasure, an absolute privilege to have someone who is, finding new ways to do the sport, such as myself, and needs a lot more respect.
Adam Peaty there after the semi-final last night with his big rivals Chin Hai Yang from China, who was 0.07 seconds slower than Peaty. Steve and Ali, I'll just put this to you from Adrian Morehouse, who won gold in '88. He said, if you're Peaty, you're thinking, this is mine. You've got to be. Chin is not in it. The rest of the field caught him. He didn't have enough. Is that fair?
I spoke to a number of the coaches, went down on the field to play this morning, spoke to a couple of the coaches this morning. They said Chin Hai Yang's all over the place in the warm-up pit. He does seem to be nervous, but it's not just Chin. They're so off the game, Peaty and Chin, in terms of times. It's brought the rest of the field into it, so I think that'll be the bigger issue, Ali.
I think that's what makes it so exciting tonight, Tony. As Steve has been saying throughout our coverage this morning, you think about Adam Peaty winning his first 2 Olympic gold medals, just no one could touch him. And he just blasted the field away, and it was all about, everyone else is competing for the minor placings. That's not what is going to happen tonight. It's going to become sort of proper dogfight, match racing, will to win. Still incredible skill and speed in the pool, but not as quick as they used to be. So it's going to be a fascinating watch. That
you two are back tonight for the big event.
I wouldn't miss it for the world. These tickets are exchanging hands for 750 quid. I'll be here in my seat, nice and early.
Yeah, that's why I'll be watching it on the telly. If you both go home now, leave a map. I've no idea where I'm going to get back to the hotel. So
should say as well, Tony. So as you said, we think that final will start just before 8:45 UK time, but the session is perfectly pitched because the first race in the evening session is 7:30 UK time, and that is Marchand and that is Litchfield in the individual medley. So the atmosphere right from the start will be off the charts.
Yep, you don't want to miss that. Cheers, guys. Thank you very much indeed. Let's turn our attention to hockey now. GB's women are in action. They're opening up just as the men did yesterday, actually, against Spain. They're just underway. Sarah Orchard is watching this with gold medalist from Rio, Helen Richardson-Walsh.
Yes, well, it's been high drama and still not even 10 minutes played of this opening hockey match in Pool B between Great Britain and Spain. It's Spain who lead 2-1 here at the moment. We open with a field goal for Spain by Laura Barrios, a brilliant penalty corner take by Giselle Ansley to reply for Great Britain, but then Lola Riera, she is a danger woman from Spain, a wonderfully taken penalty corner by the Red Sticks, and it's put them ahead. Helen Richardson-Walsh, 3 goals so fast.
The night before your first game, what is that first 10 minutes going to be like? And it's been a bit mad, hasn't it? Spain got off to a great start. GB probably not getting enough pressure to the ball and just allowing too much space in the circle with an overhead. but a great reply. I think that's always the thing, isn't it? When you go a goal down, what's the response going to be? And straight up the other end, and Ansley getting that corner, but just a little bit too much turnover at the moment, and Spain dominating at the moment.
Helen, just give us a little bit of a taste of how much pressure Great Britain's women are under coming into this Olympics. They've gone from a bronze in London, a gold then in Rio, and then a bronze again in Tokyo. I mean, it's been such incredible numbers. They've always shown up, but they've had such a mixed build-up. You know, they're not one of the favourites coming into this competition.
No, they're absolutely not. If you look at their form over the last 3 years since Tokyo, it hasn't been great. The expectation is there because of the legacy over the last 3 Olympic Games, but definitely not on that form, which, I think they're ranked 6th in the world at the moment. Spain are ranked 7, so this is and should be quite a tight game. But they'll be putting that pressure on themselves. They want to come home with an Olympic medal, and they're going to have to do really well. If they are going to do that. I think one of the positive signs that I've seen in this first 10 minutes is that Owsley is looking sharp. She's looking good. One of GB's real top players, and if she's on fire and can spark something, that's always a good sign for GB.
Yeah, Lily Owsley keeping a close eye on her. But yes, very tense at the hockey, Tony. It is Great Britain 1, Spain 2, 3 minutes of the first quarter still to play.
Sarah, thank you. Helen, thank you as well. Let's turn to beach volleyball now. And there's been a lot of controversy today. The Dutch athlete Steven van der Velde's a convicted child rapist, and he's been competing in his opening round match. He lost, but there were audible boos in the crowd when he was introduced before the match began. We can get the latest from our sports news correspondent Laura Scott. Laura, you were there. Just remind us first of all of the background to all this.
Yeah, hi Tony. I mean, rarely does an athlete's participation in an Olympics cause as much controversy as that of Steven van der Velde, but his story is not typical of something we've ever seen at the Olympics. He was sentenced to 4 years in prison in 2016 after admitting 3 counts of rape against a 12-year-old British girl. He served 12 months of that sentence in the UK before being transferred to the Netherlands, where he served a further month before being released. He has been competing in beach volleyball since 2017, but it is the fact that he is here at the Olympics that has caused worldwide attention of his story and has prompted very, very significant backlash. Before he took part, there was a petition that received 90,000 signatures calling for him to be disqualified. There's been a lot of pressure put on the IOC to intervene, but they have said it's nothing to do with them, that the selection of athletes is solely down to a National Olympic Committee, and Steven van der Velde has been backed by the Dutch National Olympic Committee. They say that he has met all their requirements and therefore he is part of their team. There have been certain safeguarding arrangements put in place. He's not staying in the athlete's village. He's also not allowed to speak to the media, but I can tell you his presence here in Paris has led to many people feeling very uncomfortable indeed.
Yeah, backed by the Dutch, but maybe not so by the crowd then, Laura. What kind of reception did he get?
Well, I spoke to a lot of fans as they came into this iconic Eiffel Tower stadium. Some of them were totally unaware of his story, I might add, but those who were aware, there was a variation in views. A lot of them felt very strongly that he shouldn't be here, that it goes against the Olympic values, that if it was up to them, he wouldn't be here, that they didn't feel comfortable watching him or indeed supporting him today. But a number of Dutch fans that I spoke to said that they feel he's done his time and he deserves his right to be here. So a lot of conflicting views, and when he was introduced individually to the crowd here, there were very, very clear boos from the crowd.
Yeah, which put his partner, Matthew Imms, I guess, in an interesting position, and he spoke afterwards. Do we know what he's had to say?
Yep, I spoke to him in the mix zone after the match, and he said that they talked about it one time, and he said we want to enjoy every moment on this stage because we gave everything together for the past 3 years to qualify. I really pushed him on what it's been like, hearing the booing, the impact it's had on him. He said it hasn't had any impact at all, and I lastly, I asked him if he feels it is right that Van der Velde is here at the Olympics, and he said he thinks it's right. I also asked their Italian opponents who beat them today what they made of it, and they said that they backed him to be here as well, that it was just another player on the sand. So, you have the playing group seemingly supportive of Van der Velde, or at least the ones we've spoken to, but among the fans, among people watching these Olympics, it is a very difficult story, this, and you can imagine the pressure will only grow on the authorities and the sort of sense of discomfort if Van der Velde and his partner progress through this tournament, and the potential for them to be on the podium grows.
Laura, thank you. That's our sports news correspondent, Laura Scott. Well, they are next in action, the Dutch pair against Chile on Wednesday. Right, gymnastics has been a focus this morning. Let's wrap up the session there. Four-time Olympic medalist Lewis Smith is watching with Eleanor Oldroyd.
Yes, we're sitting here still in the Livesey Arena, just watching the hoovering going on around the different carpets which surround the apparatus. And really the story of the morning has been all about Simone Biles. But before we talk about her, let's just sum up what's happened from a Team GB point of view. Great Britain's women in the early morning session, starting at 9:30 in the morning our time, and they were top after that first subdivision, sneaked ahead of Romania on the final round of apparatus, but they have dropped down now to fourth in the qualification standings. Only the top 8 qualify, so ahead of them are United States, Italy and China. Inevitably, really, the question is whether they can hang on to that position, whether they can hang on to the top 8 position and get through to the team final on Tuesday. I think they would be massively disappointed not to do that, particularly bearing in mind they got a bronze medal last time out. And they're in this competition, Lewis, without the Gadarova twins, who were a big part of that team last time. But I mean, your assessment of how it went from a Team GB point of view?
I mean, I think you have to take the positives. It's easy to find negatives in situations, but they are the top 3 British gymnasts aren't in this team through injury, and you've got a 16-year-old, a 17-year-old, with Ruby and Abigail, and I think all in all you have to be positive. It was a great experience. The girls did do very well. It was shaky at times, and because of those shakes, it has opened it up now to be a very close, whether it's going to be a top 8 situation or not. But I mean, I think the girls are very happy. I mean, we saw them dancing at the end, so clearly they were very happy to have finished the competition on a high. Yeah,
tears of emotion of various sorts early on in the day, particularly from Becky Downey, who missed Tokyo for a whole variety of reasons, personal tragedies and controversy as well. But she made it here, and she competed on the asymmetric bars, and she came out with the best score in the competition after the first subdivision, 14.66. But the question, of course, then for her, I mean, she's still in contention for a place in the final, currently lying 6th, but 3 more subdivisions to go. So we will see how she finishes up the day. Simone Biles then, Lewis, I mean, the noise when she came into the arena was out of this world, wasn't it?
Yeah, she had a lot of pressure on her shoulders to perform, and she did that, didn't she? She performed incredibly well. She was nursing some kind of ankle issue, but when it came to putting her hand up and doing those routines, she really delivered. And the American team are definitely the ones to try and catch. I mean, they're out there in front by at least 4 marks, and they're topping the bill on nearly every apparatus. So they are in a world of their own. They're in their own class. And to watch Simone compete was something special too.
Yeah, I mean, she qualified top in the all-around, top in floor, top in vault, second on beam. She probably won't make the bars final. She's 8th at the moment. But I suppose the question will be whether she decides to continue in the all-around final, even though she's so far ahead of everyone else. Because if she has got an ankle problem, and we saw she got a lot of strapping on that ankle before the vault, before she went and did her 2 vaults. Could she pull out of all-around, do you think?
I mean, I think there might be a discussion there. I mean, it's hard to speculate what kind of injury she's nursing.
We've been trying to do our own personal diagnosis from a distance, haven't we? It doesn't really work.
I think it will depend on how she's feeling. There'll be talks with the team, see how recovery goes, and if her goal is to maximise the amount of medals that she can win, she might end up sacrificing the all-around and concentrate on winning individual medals, or she might be absolutely fine and we'll see her compete in all of it. I guess we'll have to wait and see. what transpires over the next few days. But I think either way, we're going to see Simone, winning some kind of jewellery.
The most important thing was that she did it all with a smile on her face. She looked happy to be here. She looked, she was waving to the crowd. I mean, even when she was there was concern about her injury, she was waving to all the US fans. She was waving to some of the celebs in the crowd as well. It was a very star-studded lineup here in the Livesey Arena this morning. We had Snoop. I mean, Snoop Dogg is everywhere. I'm just wondering whether he's got various avatars that he's spreading around. But we had Tom Cruise, didn't we? At one point, the PA system played the theme from Mission Impossible.
Ariana Grande
was here. You even said that there was a shot of Lady Gaga.
John Legend.
Oh, I tell you what, Tony, you think you've had some stars at the pool today. We have 100% beaten you at the Livesey Arena. No. This is where the cool kids are. Well,
I get
Lewis,
that.
Anyway, clearly not me.
I get that. At least our interval activities are more exciting. You've got hoovering, we've got scuba diving in front of us.
Oh, nice.
In between sessions.
I just realised that there is a glitter ball above us, actually. There are 2 glitter balls. So with the glitter balls there all the time, I just not spot them.
They've not been there the whole time, surely.
Have they? Because, I mean, have you still got your glitter ball trophy at home, by the way?
I was going to say, if I'd have spotted them, I'd have been doing the salsa.
Can't stop him from doing the salsa, Tony.
Now that I would pay to see. Lewis, thank you very much indeed. A Strictly winner in his own. He should have been up there with Tom Cruise, not down with you, Ellie. No offence.
I know.
Back with you guys. Back with you guys a little bit later, Ellie and Lewis at the gymnastics. Right, so the hoovering and the scuba diving is going on in our venues, but there is action at the moment. Sarah Orchard and Helen Richardson-Walsh watching GB's women in action in the hockey.
Yeah, and it's a tense match. This is early days, of course, in the hockey competition. The first time we've seen Great Britain's women on the pitch, and at the moment we're into the second quarter. It's Spain 2, Great Britain 1. And of the two sides, Helen Richardson-Walsh, you have to say Spain do look lively.
They're really stretching the game really, really nicely, and GB are just struggling to put pressure on the ball.
Yeah, and just a slight sidebar, not quite about this match, so we're not going to get too carried away too early on in this hockey competition that GB are any kind of worries or anything like that. But just as a little side chat, Helen, we have picked up this morning that some of the Great Britain players, some of the players in the other countries, they are playing in shorts. Traditionally, we've always seen hockey for the women played in a hockey dress, but the rules have changed.
Yeah, and that was actually down to one of our own players, Tess Howard. She did some research because she was somebody who didn't feel comfortable playing in a skirt or a skort as they do these days, and she wanted to make that change, and she worked really hard at doing her own research, and she kind of together with the team went to the FIH and tried to make that change, and the rule got changed, and they're now able to wear shorts because they train in shorts every single day. No one turns up in a skirt for training, and because of that work that Tess has done, she now gets to go and play in the Olympic Games in a pair of shorts, which makes her feel much more comfortable and able to perform.
And as we talk about Tess Howard, she's just done an incredible shot inside of the D where she's absolutely smashed Lola Riera, the star player for Spain, on the knee. Riera's okay to carry on playing, but still early days in this match then for Team GB's hockey players. Of course, they've delivered medals at the last 3 games. At the moment, early days, Great Britain 1, Spain 2, still 9 minutes of the second quarter to play.
Cheers, Sarah. Thank you. Sarah there with gold medalist Helen Richardson-Walsh. Well, earlier in the rowing today, Tom George and Oliver Wynne-Griffith topped their men's pair heat for Team GB, so they've qualified for Wednesday's semi-final. The last Brits to win gold in this event, you may remember them, Matthew Pinsent and Steve Redgrave, in 1996. Well, after the race, they actually spoke to Matthew Pinsent, as well as former gold medalist Catherine Granger.
Ollie, opening round of the Olympic Games, that is a job very well done, is it not?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we know it's not really like any other regatta. We know people are going to come hard, so we're just happy to kind of put our best foot forward and look forward to the next round on Wednesday.
Tom, fantastic start. Now, how do you build through the regatta?
We've got a few things we want to work on. We've sort of already discussed. I think there, obviously, you saw we didn't really use the last 500 too much. We were able to control the race from 1500, so obviously we want to step on there, and we know we can. We've done it in training, and it's about just piecing the blocks together round by round.
And the Sinkowicz brothers look like they're out there having fun. They're at the older end of the spectrum. You've raced them a lot before, but they seem to be back in some form. Is that make you look at the timesheet?
I mean, you look, for the Sinkowicz brothers, you know they're going to come hard at the Olympics. They actually sat down with us to have breakfast with us before their heat this morning. Don't know if there's any mind games there, or they're just like, they're super personable guys, so we're just happy to be racing them and happy to have them back in the field, honestly.
Tom George and Oliver Wynne-Griffith there speaking to Matthew Pinson and Catherine Granger. Well, we're joined again now by Olympic silver medalist Jess Eddy and Chris Jones, as we have been all morning. Jess, a strong showing from these two then. Is there a good chance of a GB gold here?
Oh, I think they are one of our favourites, to be honest. They're going into this event after a really strong season. They've been unbeaten all season. And also really good news for them is the first heat was so close with their major rivals in it. So some tired legs, hopefully, that the Brits get to race against.
Tell you what, Tony, I'm looking forward to all the finals when they come from Wednesday onwards, but this men's pairs, it's such a stacked field. I'm so looking forward to, not just because Ollie Wynne-Griffith's a big fan of the Rugby Union Weekly podcast, but because of the quality across the piece. Switzerland having to go into the repechage, so as Jess says, they've got to have an extra race to make the semi-finals between the Irish qualify and these legendary Sinkowicz brothers from Croatia doing their thing as well, looking to add to their glittering career. So it's all set up in the men's pair to be an unbelievable few days coming up.
Yeah, unless I misheard that, they were talking about having breakfast with the Sinkowicz brothers this morning. Jess, and that takes on something Steve Parry said here earlier at the swimming about having to look your rivals in the eye and then go and smash them later on. Is that normal to mix to such a level?
Yeah, I heard Steve say that, and I kind of agree with him. Yeah, so we're all down at the rowing lake. You're kind of there together, and you'd probably go and have second breakfast, and you might bump into your rivals. But as I think Ollie was saying, the Sinkowicz brothers are really well known in our sport. They're really lovely guys, and it's a funny one because they're at the end of their career, certainly, and they're going into this slightly underdogs compared to this British pair. So they'll probably take joy in the fact of sitting down next to the boys and having a chat with them. But yeah, certainly not anything lost on the water.
Yeah. Well, look, Chris, what else have we got to look forward to at the moment? What's on the agenda rowing wise?
So for today, we're done and dusted, and just to recap, as well as that men's pair, there was an Imperious performance from the lightweight women's double sculls. Emily Craig and Imogen Grant have been in unbelievable form all Olympiad, but the Romanians look good in their heat, so take nothing for granted there. The men's four came through in second place to make the final. The women's four, they crushed their heat. Helen Glover et al. So they go through to Thursday. So to mark the card, 10:50 Thursday morning for Helen Glover and her team of Esme Booth, Sam Redgrave and Rebecca Short. And then 11:10 on Thursday, the men's four. So in the men's pair, for example, hearing from Ollie Wynne-Griffiths and Tom George, they've got a semi-final Wednesday and a final Friday. But for the fours, the women's four and the men's four, from a GB point of view, who are both through, that'll be Thursday morning straight to the final. So yeah, loads has been going on and loads to look forward to as the medals all come thick and fast to row four from Wednesday.
Brilliant. Chris, Jess, thank you very much indeed for now. Let's go back to the Palace of Versailles, the eventing, and Team GB doing very well. We had a very stressful round with Laura Collett earlier on, Sonia. Have we all recovered? How are Team GB doing now?
Yeah, no, well, they are still way out in front, the British team. They are in the gold medal position. At the moment, we are watching Michael Jung from Germany, one of the greatest exponents of three-day eventing that there has ever been. He is the individual champion from London 2012 and Rio in 2016. And remember, there was that faller from Germany previously, which means the team are out of contention. So Michael Jung, who was in silver medal position overnight, has got that individual medal to gun for, and he is a huge threat, isn't he, Nicola, to Laura Collett?
Absolutely, massive threat. And just with those 0.8 time faults that Laura incurred in the cross country after an amazing round, just could allow Mickey Jung to go ahead of her in the individual standings if he's clear inside the time.
How good is this rider? Put it into context.
He is, well, he's won everything and on different horses. And actually last year, at Tokyo Olympics, he was in gold medal position, would have won gold, individual gold. however, had a pin on the cross-country course. And on the cross-country, when I say a pin, for safety reasons, they have frangible pins or fences that collapse if they were hit with force on the course. So it's there for safety of both horse and rider, and that's what he was affected by at Tokyo. So
and
he'll
that means
have it all to
penalty
play
of some
for.
description if you activate a frangible pin.
Yes, it means 11 penalties, 15 penalties if you are deemed to go the wrong side of a flag, 20 penalties if you have a stop or a run out, and obviously a rider horse fall is elimination from the competition.
Yeah, and all manner of things can go wrong, as we've seen today, Tony, because we've had 4 riders eliminated because of falls. One has retired in Kevin McNabb of Australia. But so far, Michael Young, who is a huge threat to Laura Collette and that challenge for the individual Olympic gold medal, is going great guns here at Versailles.
Frangible pins, inflatable jackets. It's been brilliant this morning, you two.
I know. Frangible pins are really, really interesting, Tony, because this sport, it can be exceptionally dangerous. Nicola Wilson knows that only too well because her career was cut short because of a horrific fall. The FEI, for the safety of both horse and riders, they introduce what's called frangible pins. So it means if a horse is coming at speed to a fixed obstacle and they clip the front of the fence with their leading legs, it means that if enough force is applied, which can sometimes lead to horrific falls and accidents, the fence will collapse instead, which means all of that momentum is taken out of it and it's much safer for both horse and rider. But obviously if you activate one of those, there is a penalty on the cross-country course. But the key thing is safety.
Yeah, as are the inflatable jackets we heard about earlier, which the riders wear, which is incredible. Listen, Sonia and Nicola, thank you for now. Let's head off away from the Olympics briefly. We've been following the cricket this morning. It's the 3rd test at Edgbaston, England against the West Indies. Henry's watching alongside Mark Ramprakash.
146 for 5 is the West Indies score. They lead by 52 runs, but England have just picked up their 3rd wicket of the morning. Jason Holder out LBW for 12. Gus Atkinson's first over of the day. He reviewed the decision, but the umpire's call going England's way, and the decision stands. So, Mark, that lead of 52 runs. They have offered resistance this morning, West Indies, but England slowly but surely exerting their control.
I think it raised an eyebrow. Atkinson was only into the attack at 1:15, given that he bowled so well the previous evening, but he was angling the ball in there to Jason Holder, and Jason Holder may consider himself a touch unlucky on reviewing the decision. The ball was just clipping the top of leg stump, but it was an eventful knock from Jason Holder. He had an imperious pull shot against Stokes for 4, then was dropped by Zach Crawley at second slip, a sharp chance, got down the other end and missed one that was angled into him, and he was caught on the crease, neither forward nor back, and umpire meant on giving it out, and so England get that breakthrough.
Yeah, and it looked out, and despite the efforts of Holder to try and overturn the decision, the technology showing it to hit the top of leg stump. What about Calvin Hodge then? He's there unbeaten, 51 from 57 balls, scored 120 in the last Test match. He's been impressive again today, not least because he's going at a decent rate.
Yeah, very impressed with him. Said at the start of the day that the West Indian players have got to look upon today as a real opportunity, especially with the bat, to try and make a statement and say that they can play well and belong at this level. And Hodge has carried on his good form from Trent Bridge. In particular, he picks up the length very well. He pulled Mark Wood for a good shot for 4, and then he got into his front foot drive and hit those for 4. His judgment of length has been excellent. He's played Bashir very competently, been busy between the wickets, and he looks a real find for West Indies.
Yeah, 147 for 5 then is the West Indies total. They have a lead against England, but England very much in control of this match. That lead stands just 53.
Henry Moran, thank you. Mark Ramprakash too. We can't keep Sonia out of the programme. There's more drama at the eventing. Change at the top of the leaderboard.
Yes, exactly. And Michael Young, this incredible German rider, twice an individual Olympic champion, has just made this cross-country course at Versailles look like his own personal playground, because he's gone clear inside the time, so he's got no penalty points. So he now sits on his excellent dressage score of 17.8. Nicola Wilson called it. Those penalty points for Laura Collette have been costly. She slips down to the silver medal position. And Tony, if I give you an idea, she was only 2 seconds over the optimum time. That is how much these two are effectively separated by tissue paper. At this level, that is quite remarkable. So at minute, it's Michael Young in gold, Laura Collette in silver, and a fabulous round by a Japanese rider called Yoshi Ioe, who is lying in third. Remember, Britain currently gold overall. Ros Cantor still to come.
Blimey, it's non-stop. Sonia, thank you. More to come from Sonia and Nicola Wilson throughout the afternoon. Chap is taking over in just under 10 minutes' time or so, and Kelly Cates will do the evening session for you today. Earlier on, Maz Faruqi had a judo hat on. Now she's got a tennis hat on and she's watching Dan Evans. Hello, Maz.
Hello, Tony, again. Yeah, it's happily the sun shining gloriously now in the skies above the French capitals, which means we do finally have some play on the outside courts at Roland Garros, and the Brits, as you say, can finally get their Olympics campaigns underway. Of course, later Andy Murray will play alongside Dan Evans in the doubles, but Evans is first in singles action. He's playing Moïse Ishargi of Tunisia, a player who's never broken into the world's top 250. And I'll be honest, Dan Evans looks in the mood. He started really well, broke in the first game of the match. He leads by 4 games to 2 in the first set. The British number 1, Jack Draper, is also just about to get underway as well over in court 12. He is playing the 2016 bronze medalist, Japan's Kei Nishikori, who is, of course, going to be one of the pair across the net as opponents for Murray and Evans later. But just some breaking news that's come through in the last couple of minutes, Tony. Britain's Cam Norrie has chosen to withdraw from the men's singles at the Olympics. He was due to play later today as well. So 4 Brits in the singles competition here in Paris is now down to 3, with Katie Boulter, of course, still to play later as well today.
Oh. OK, Maz, yeah, disappointing here about Cam Norrie. Thank you. Maz Faruqi at the tennis. Right, we're going to have a quick break from the Olympics for just a moment. We're going to go to Belgium for a look ahead to this afternoon's Grand Prix. And to take you through it all is our Formula One team of Harry Benjamin, Mark Priestley and Rosanna Tennant. Hi, guys.
Hi, hello, welcome to Belgium. Yeah, it's beautifully sunny here. A few clouds here and there, but so much better than the weather we had yesterday for the qualifying session, where it was incredibly soggy, torrential rain throughout the day. But today is a new day and we've got sunshine, so we're looking forward to a dry race. Max Verstappen was on pole position yesterday, but he's been demoted to P11. He's got a 10-place grid penalty. The Red Bull driver taking some new engine parts, so he's going to start outside the top 10, and that means that Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari is promoted to pole position. We're looking forward to an exciting race. I'm joined by Harry Benjamin and Mark Priestley, former F1 mechanic at McLaren. Harry, I think people are quite excited for this afternoon's race. It's going to be an interesting one, isn't it? A few storylines to keep abreast of.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's because we had those rainy conditions in yesterday's qualifying that I wouldn't call it quite a jumbled up grid, but it wasn't what we were expecting come the end of Friday. Charles Leclerc starts on pole position for Ferrari. Alongside him will be Sergio Perez in the other Red Bull. Perez with a lot to prove, his career suddenly on the line. Charles Leclerc in a Ferrari that has been struggling for a couple of races now. He's not feeling too optimistic for the race win. You've got the 2 McLarens behind along with Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton thinks he'll go worse in the dry than in the wet, and the 2 McLarens, well, they were 1 and 2 last time out in Hungary, and they'll be wanting to drive forward as well, but they're going to have to look behind at Verstappen coming through.
They certainly are. Mark, what do you reckon? Has Max Verstappen got a car underneath him to fight for higher up the order? Can he pass people off the start? Is it going to be a tricky afternoon for the Dutch driver?
Well, tricky in that he does need to pass a lot of cars if he's going to get to the front, but he does have the car to do it. In Friday's practice sessions, which were dry as well, he was dominant. He was very, very quick. His race pace looked very, very good. He's gone for a sort of lower downforce setup on his car, which should enable him to start passing cars. He's got a very quick car in a straight line, and on this circuit, you definitely can overtake. So he's going to be one to watch. And I also think the 2 McLarens, who've also gone for a much lower downforce rear wing on the car, should enable them to be very fast along the straights, get some overtaking done. They're very good on their tyres, and this is going to be a race all about managing tyre degradation. So I think Lando Norris could well be in with a shout of victory here.
The fans are packing the grandstands at the moment, guys, so they're going to see a bit of a race today, a bit of wheel-to-wheel action even, Harry.
I think they will. Look, Spa-Francorchamps is one of the oldest circuits on the calendar. It is one of the longest medium-speed corners, followed by those long straights, powerful DRS zones as well, and that elevation change up from Eau Rouge through Raidillon that leads you onto the Kemmel Straight. It always brings us exciting racing, and we have got those cutting through, even those in the midfield looking quick that can come through too.
We've had 7 different winners already this season. We're about to head into the F1 summer break. Could we see another winner crowned in 2024? Could Sergio Perez be that 8th winner? Do join us. We're going to be here in Belgium at 2 o'clock for the race start. That's when the lights go out. Who will win the Belgian Grand Prix later on this afternoon? Lots of people to contend.
Rosanna, thank you. Thanks to Mark and Harry as well. Yes, so that kicks off at 2 o'clock this afternoon. There's commentary of the Belgian Grand Prix on the BBC Sport website. But the primary focus for us, of course, is the Olympics all through the afternoon. Chappers on the way very shortly. Let's just catch up with England's GB's women in the hockey. They're playing Spain in their opening match. Helen Richardson-Walsh is watching with Sarah Orchard.
Yeah, half-time here in this women's Pool B hockey match. Great Britain 1, Spain 2, and you have to say, Spain, they haven't been playing at the top table of world hockey. They haven't been playing in the Pro League over the last year, but they did qualify higher than Great Britain when it came to the Olympic qualification tournament. They've really got a point to prove at the moment. They've got a better conversion rate so far in this match. And Helen Richardson-Walsh, you won that gold medal, of course, back in Rio. What have GB got to do to get back into this match?
I think they just need a bit more quality, and I know that's a really easy thing to say, but they're not making the traps. They're mistrapping the ball quite a lot. So they just need a bit more of that quality on the ball, especially, and be a bit more patient. It's a little bit frantic in midfield. Too much turnover going on at the moment, and they need to just try and control the ball for longer periods of time, and then they get it to the wide spaces and allow the likes of Hamilton and Owsley, really quick, exciting players, get them on the ball and let them do their stuff from the wide spaces.
Yeah, plenty of exciting players in this Great Britain team. Nonetheless, of course, Laura Roper, Great Britain's most decorated hockey player, a gold and 2 bronzes to her name, competing at her 4th Olympic Games. She will retire of this. Surely she's going to want to finish on a high. Half-time then in this opening pool game for Great Britain's women. It's Spain who lead 2-1.
Sarah, thank you. Thanks to Helen as well. We began with mention of Snoop Dogg. We're ending with Grease the musical. Fantastic. Right, that's it from me today. Chappers is up next. If anyone's interested at all, I'll be back on 5 Live tomorrow at 3:30 with Ellie from our Parisian cafe. In the meantime, let's get the 5 Live news. Here's David Mooney.